what up, everybody? For the people that are still here, I know we lost a few subscribers with a video that we posted a couple of days ago. Coop, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I want to give people a minute to get in the room. There's so much that's going on in hip hop, so much to talk about, a lot of things to that we could actually start off with. And again, I want to wait till more people come in because I don't know if everybody's seen the album cover yet for Kendrick Lamar's new album that's going to be dropping Friday. I think this is going to kind of be like the Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers pre-show. What up, Antonio? What up, Manifest 13? What up, everybody coming in the room? Yes, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers pre-show. There's a lot to talk about, man. They really ripped you apart with your take on part 5. And we're gonna get into that. But I think we should let's start with the Flea Lord, man, while everybody's coming in.
It's cool. Let's start with the fleet.
Let's start with Flea. Flea Lord dropped, I got the album here. We got Pray for the Evil, part 3. I know he was saying this is a trilogy, but he wanted to keep it going because he got legends involved. What were some of your thoughts on this album after listening to it?
It's not the same MC as the guy that I first heard like regularly in 2020. He's gotten much better almost at every facet, but mostly like in his delivery, like in the fluidity of it. Like his third verse on Go Mode, Impala, Out the Mud, all kind of like exemplify his growth and his development as an overall MC. He also showed that he has some respect because he bought out some New York heavyweights, some New York legends. He's got Cormega, Fat Joe, of course Conway, and Rock Marcy. I mean that's a pretty solid lineup, as far as like making like a East Coast, based and sounding album. I thought Stars Coleman verse on I Still Pray was a dope verse. That was one of those verses where I was kind of like, who's that? So it's somebody to check out for. And Flea just gets better every time.
Yo, people in the chat are going crazy, by the way. They're talking about how you kept it really candid with Kendrick. Some people are applauding it. Some people say you tripping. We're going to get to that in a minute, too. We got 80 people in the room. We're like 2 minutes in. So, no, you're not late, Mr. Buck. You're not late at all. We're going to get to all of that. And Kendrick has released his album cover. So before you tune out to the show and tune back in to see the album cover, we're about to get to that too. But yes, overall, I think that this Flea Lord was consistent, and it was consistent. It was on message, and I think we're seeing that a lot when people are doing these trilogies or, part 1, part 2, part 3. They're keeping the vein of, what people came to see. It's one of those things, man, we're in an era now where albums, I don't even think they're albums anymore per se, because we can't really tell the difference between when somebody's making a mixtape or an album. So we'll just call them projects, right? So I think with like these street projects and these street followings, they're doing, like a Tana Talks 2, Tana Talks 3, Tana Talks 4, whatever. And just like this one, but it's keeping that same theme in a way where it's keeping that consistency. I mean, I like it. I think that, we've come up in the era of hip hop where, especially when you talk about somebody like an Outkast, they continuously reinvent themselves, and that's not what we're doing here, but it's consistent hip hop music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's consistent at what he does, and he's shown consistent growth and development at it and gotten better. The production on this album, one thing that I'm noticing about Flea is that he consistently picks production that fits his voice and picks his style. His voice is very unique. I almost like what do you think of his voice?
I like his voice. I think he has a real grimy, unique voice. I think he got a dope flow too. It's kind of like, it's not like, it's kind of like a Freeway meets MOP or something.
But it's got a very East Coast vibe to it, right?
Yeah.
And so I like how he's like switching it up as much as he like noticeably can for like what his actual like vocal cords will allow. You know, he's proven himself to be very versatile
Mm-hmm.
in that frame, in that regard. Because some of these beats, like you can see it. I wouldn't say down south influence, but kind of like have a little bit more of a draw or bounce to him.
Mm-hmm.
Expect for an artist like him, but he comes off like very well. Like I was impressed with the project overall. Like how would you rate it?
I'm gonna have to listen to it again. I'm thinking around 4. I know people say we're generous with the 4s or whatnot, but I think it's it's solid.
It is pretty solid. My initial thoughts were that it was a 4-2. You
Yeah.
know, of course. I mean, I think people have to understand this, and I think I don't know if I stated this during the show, but I know I stated this to you behind the scenes, Mike. Like Southern Playalistic came out in like April, right? Like late April. Like its review came out for the Source in July.
Yeah, they got some time to sit on it, and and I think that's a special one too, where you can actually gauge people's reaction. Now, I don't know if they did that same thing with Illmatic and stuff like that. I think they got those advanced copies.
Yeah, that happens a lot too. But you know, like time wise, you know, we really are going off of what we hear reasonably, depending on how our days are going, like within like 2 to 5 listens. Because sometimes there's stuff that we haven't rated just because we felt like, oh, well, we haven't listened to it enough to even feel like giving it some sort of barometer or even some sort of measure, really. We had a little bit more time to listen to this. I was impressed with it. I think the Posse cut, I'm trying to pull up the album right now. The Final Four joint, Conway and Rock Marcy and Trey, that's like one of those like song of the year, like caliber type of songs in terms of how they came off. Rock Marcy is like getting better with time.
I love rock. Oh, I'm a big rock fan.
So. I'm just gonna keep. Yeah, no, you're proving yourself right like that.
Speaking of gonna be difficult to rate, Friday's coming up. Kendrick Lamar's dropping his album, right? Gonna be a very difficult album to rate. You saw the album cover, right? Did you? All right, I'm putting the album cover on the screen for the people who haven't seen it. This is going to be the album cover for Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Kendrick Lamar is dropping his album on Friday. And I want people to know that Coop and I, since we have started this show, this has been one of the releases that we've anticipated the most. Would you say?
I would probably say the most.
I would say the most. We're talking about an MC in his prime that, both Coop and I, believe it or not, have spoke highly of every time he's dropped an album. So, just being able to talk about a new Kendrick Lamar album, I mean, it has to be the most anticipated release, in our podcast history. So, the fact that all of this chatter and all this chatting is coming at a time like this, and we have you guys to talk about this album with, this is going to be really fun. And again, it's going to be very difficult because, as we've seen from Coop's initial response to the Heart Part 5, and I'll give my response to the Heart Part 5 as well, Kendrick fans don't seem to take criticism that well. I think maybe it's because you gave it a C-. Maybe that's where it is. But, we can go ahead and get the business on this. Leroy said, right, Mike, but let's get to the business. Yes, let's get to the business. First off,
are we just jumping in? Okay.
Yeah, first off, I want to ask you what you think about this album cover, because I don't know if a lot of people have seen this album cover that are watching the podcast right now, so I'm going to put it on the screen.
So we're addressing the album cover first? Is that
what did you think about the album cover? Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this. One of the things that I have in my notes, and you can go check, and I'm trying to pull it up right now. Let me see where it is exactly. Hold on, because I have a ton of notes on a lot of things.
Okay. Well, I want people to look at the actual album cover. One of the things that people are pointing out on our on our other social medias when we posted the album cover about 30 minutes ago is the gun in the back pocket, in the back of Kendrick's pants. You know, the things that stood out to me, well, what you said was the headpiece that he's wearing. But the things that stood out to me is the fact that, you know, I didn't know Kendrick had 2 kids.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, you know, the children.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't even know for certain that those are his kids.
We don't know that. Yeah.
Right. But I will say this: the first thing that I thought about was something that was in my notes, which was the deification of Kendrick. That's something that's in my notes before we even seen the album cover. I actually took that note late last night when I was listening to Pimp a Butterfly and Damn, in terms of the deification of him, because part of the deification and part of what's happened is something that you spoke to. Well, he's been gone for so long, and he was so great when he left. And I've said this every time. It's not like anybody hasn't said that he wasn't great. It was that he was so great when he left. And there's a lot of stuff that's coming out that we need to address as far as, well, did he really leave technically? Now, based on what we're hearing,
right.
And what level is it really at? Because a lot of people are like, well, Coop, you're always comparing Kendrick to the all-time greats when you speak about him. And, well, quite frankly, you all speak of him in that manner, in that regard, treat him that way, carrying him that way. Don't all the other greats kind of get held up that way? Like, aren't we the hardest on those who are the greatest?
Yeah, I mean, because LeBron could go out there, put up 25, 10, and 5, and barely lose the game, and people are going to be very hard on him in ways where if James Harden went out there and put up those same numbers, they're like, well, he had a good game. He had a great game. Shout out to 007 in the building, said Kendrick shows up, but not as great as people are making it out to be. The track is a B. An interesting album cover gives grown man maturing vibes for the direction. Madnan with the super chat says, with an album cover like that, it better be a classic. Well, you know, he's on a high marker regardless. Like, I think people are going to be expecting a lot from Kendrick anyway. And I don't want to be that person where it's like our expectations are so high that, you know, nothing is going to service it. But this is what I will say, and I know we're kind of jumping around, but I think this is all in scope of Kendrick. The Heart Part 5, my thing about it is, I think it's a regular song. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's my thing. Like, I saw people like, this is life-changing. This is like when I heard Stevie Wonder for the first time. And I'm going to read that on air, man, because I thought that comments like that takes away from us being able to enjoy the record because it's so overblown. It's not that. You know what I mean? It's not that, and it's not a bad record. And I think that, you know, you giving it a C-, I think I'm kind of teetering around a B. I was listening to it before I got back to the spot to do this. And, all right, it's 2 things. It's a few things, actually. And I know I'm all over the place, but believe it or not, Sunday when this song got released, me and my lady were cleaning the house and, you know, just listening to random songs. Marvin Gaye's I Want You came on, which personally is my favorite Marvin Gaye album. My dad's favorite Marvin Gaye album is What's Going On. So, very familiar with that loop. And immediately, when I heard this song, because people were sending it to me as soon as it got released, I'm already kind of like, okay, well, this is Marvin. You know what I mean? And maybe this is me coming fresh off the Black Star, hearing nothing but all new shit, new shit. And I hear this, and I'm like, okay, we haven't heard from Kendrick in 5 years. All right, we're hearing a Marvin Gaye loop of I Want You. All right, boom. I'm like, already, I hate to say it, already let a grade down. Boom. And then so the verses come out, and it's like, okay, he's spitting. And then, you know, after the song's over, because I heard the song and then I watched the video. I'm like, okay, it was cool. See the video, and I think more people are talking about the video than the actual song itself. And again, like you said in your post about the song, he added a visual aid for the heart this time when he didn't do that previously. And I think this one really needed that for the buzz. And if there's anything to take from here, there's two things I took from it. A, I think people are very, very happy that Kendrick is actually rapping. So the fact that he was rapping on this is a very good sign for the album, because that's what we wanted. We don't want him singing. And number two, his rollout, and I've said this on this show before, Interscope is the best marketing in music, period. No one touches them. Pusha T and whoever else needs to take note. This is how you roll out a project. And somebody was telling me that if they were going to put out Neck and Wrist, they should have had visuals for it. And I was like, nah, they probably didn't need that. People don't watch music videos anymore. This just proved me wrong. If Pusha T would have put out Neck and Wrist and they would have had visuals like this one did, like a day before the album, his numbers would have doubled what they were. If this is how they were trying to market. You know what I mean? Because they were clearly trying to market to a mainstream. LP says, told y'all, no objectivity from fans anymore. Well, fans are fans. And, I think that at this point, the fans are rooting for Kendrick and they want him to win. We all want Kendrick to win. But I'm not going to sit here and act like this song was like on some Stevie Wonder ass level, which is what somebody said. But go ahead. I'm going to find that comment. I just said a lot, I know. I'm going to let you defend yourself because people are coming at you.
I mean, Mike, you said a whole lot. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to tie in some of your comments and reflections that echo some of my sentiments and just more diplomatically stated than how I typically state it, which is what you typically do better than me. Sorry, did we have... I know what happened. Sorry, hold on 1 second. Did I go out for a second?
No, you did for a second, but you back now. Thumbs up in the chat, man, so we can get this circulating to more and more people. We got like 233 people in the room.
Okay,
and I'm sure these people were coming at you, so let them know.
Yeah, no. First of all, let me say a couple things. I'm an asshole and I can be condescending. That doesn't mean some of the things that I'm saying are not valid. Now, you want to know what? The C- might have been a little too tough for him. While I was waiting for you, Mike, I sat here and I listened to the song about 5 or 6 times, just back to back repetitively. The C- is a little too strong, so I could see it being like a C+ or a B-, but not much more than. And I say that respectfully because of his catalog and because of what I did last night when I got home, which is after I got settled in, I listened to Pimp a Butterfly and Damn back to back consecutively. And so I was up till about 3 a.m. doing that. And there is no way that you can, in all honesty, and I want to break down these albums today since people are saying the things that they're saying. Like, there's no way that you can listen to the songs on those 2 records and tell me that this record is life. Like, we don't have to compare him to anybody else. We can compare him to his last 2 albums, and where this record would fall within his last 2 albums is I'm not certain that it would make it. So, like, don't tell me that it's life. So
and it's probably not going to make this album either.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that's the other part of it. So no, Mike, for real, like, I want to get a chance to unpack all of this. First of all, you and I were very clear about stating, well, we're talking about a song that's never made an album before in the series, and we don't think this one is either. So even if we gave it a C-, we're giving a C- to a song that, quite frankly, isn't really about to go anywhere anytime soon unless you're a hardcore fan of his. And the C- may be strong, but so are people's sentiments to the point about a song that's not about to make the album. Like, we all know this song is not making the album. Now, some of the things that I was saying, I just want to clarify a little further. First of all, if I could go back and reflect again, I would probably take the C-, make it more of a C+ or a B-, just truthfully. In relationship to what I heard last night, I can't honestly tell you that this song would make either one of his previous 2 albums. It sounds like something that is To Pimp a Butterfly throwaway. which would put it like on that untitled, unmixed, unmastered sessions kind of vibe, which has its moments. This song has its moments, but after the moments are gone, it's just an okay song. It's cool. So if you want me to say that it's good, but like you said, when people are talking about it like it's life or comparing it to Stevie Wonder in any sort of shape or referencing specific Stevie Wonder songs and albums to do so, I do think that's going too far, even if you feel like my rating of it was a little bit too harsh. Now, there's a couple things that I want to say.
Oh, let me get to the super chat, and I'm going to let you do that because I want to get these in. Andrell Green says, did y'all see where the New Jersey rapper AK said that Kendrick was biting the visuals for his family trees from 2020? His statement is valid. Okay, we'll get to that too because we did see that and we did post that. I know you guys were posting that on our Twitter. And there's another super chat I want to get to, and I'm going to let you go ahead and go. Mad Max says, my beef with K-Dot is the Christ Savior complex disguising and he claiming that he's the knowledge and knows about the Israelite heritage. He uses that to sell. So a lot there. We're going to get to all that.
Right. That's what I mean about the deification. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And yeah. Go ahead. Is there anything else, or can I continue?
Well, you can go ahead and go. And I'm gonna get to that comment where people were overblowing this. But yeah, you were getting to your notes. That was all the super chats for right now.
I realized something when all of this started happening. Well, first of all, we're the hardest on our legends, and we're supposed to be. Like, if you are better than everybody else, we're supposed to hold you to a higher standard. Why would we hold you to everybody else's standards when you're better than everybody else? You brought up LeBron. I have KD in my notes, and I told you this last night, Mike. I don't feel the same way about KD right now, and I'm not until he does something about it, because it's like, well, we've all looked at you like you're this. Well, you look like that.
The people that I have in the top 10 in the prime of their careers wouldn't went out like KD went out in this
swept in the first round. Swept in the first round in a season where you just averaged like 30 points and 7 assists and like 9 rebounds. Like, no, like you just averaged you pretty much averaged 39 and 7, and like you went out in the first, like, and you had Kyrie, and it's like, I know Kyrie is very problematic. You want to talk about the definition of very problematic? A very problematic T-shirt, and put Kyrie ass on the T-shirt. That's who deserves to be on the shirt.
Right.
Put that nigga on the shirt fast. Did you hear the GM today? The GM was pretty much saying, yeah, if Kyrie don't want to play, we're going to try to trade him or just send him.
Kyrie already told you, though, if you trade me, I'll quit.
Big Kane signed. So, Mike, you want to know what, Mike? I'm fine with that. He really hasn't done much outside of, like, helping LeBron one time when he was healthy. One time he was healthy, he helped LeBron. That was it.
Well, I think one of the big things that people had issue with you saying is the fact that, you know, he needs to stop saying bitch so much.
Well, that's because they deify him so much, and he deifies himself so much like he's righteous. So let's go to the other guy that I brought up, which was Rakim, because Rakim is called the God MC. Mm-hmm. And Chuck D is considered, I think, to be our conscious in a lot of ways in hip-hop terms. When we go to the rhetoric about what is positive in an MC in hip-hop, I think we tend to go to Chuck D. And when we talk about the deification of the MC, we tend to go to Rakim. You want to know what both of those guys don't do? They definitely don't use the word bitch, but they barely curse at all. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? So when you all are going to deify him on that level, we'll understand that there's already a standard that's been set by guys that are kind of deified on that level, and those guys don't curse. So why are we giving him a pass? That's really the overall point that I'm making. And I have a specific point about it. I didn't hear Rakim curse until Mahogany. That's track 8 on album number 3.
Wow. A lot of words.
You hear what I'm saying? So if he wants to be called the God MC, it's like, well, the God don't curse, because, you know, well, our God really, well, you know, he doesn't curse. You get what I'm saying? So when you all deify him on a certain level, well, I'm going to, you know, see that and pick at that, because there are guys like Chuck D and Rakim who barely curse at all. And that's kind of the standard, isn't it?
Is it a generational thing, though? I mean, because once hip-hop turned that corner into NWA and cursing came in the game, there was really no turning back. There wasn't any other mainstream MC that you would ever find that was going to go straight clean. And then, you know, and that was my thing, too, when they talked about Will Smith and when Eminem said what he said, Eminem don't have to curse in his raps to sell records, while I do and fuck you and fuck him too thing. It's like, well, you understand, and I'm sure he understands. Will Smith comes from that era before MC started cursing like that. So it wasn't one of those things where he was trying to be a goody two-shoes coming in the rap game or something. This guy came in '88 when nobody was cursing. And that's just his style, and he kept it.
But when you're comparing him to Stevie Wonder, like it's not like you're even y'all.
Let me read the comment. Let me read the comment that I sent you. Somebody said in the Kendrick Lamar video, it was Rashida A. She said, "This piece has shifted something within me, akin to the clarity I felt the first time that I heard Tupac's Brenda's Got a Baby back in 1991 and Stevie Wonder's Ass. That familiar feeling that knowing that you are no longer who you were before you heard that song is immeasurable. Thank you for making it happen." No, the song wasn't that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what that person is feeling. And maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that's out of line. But come on, man.
Hold on. And I want you to understand. And this is what I have in my notes. And this is my first time really like going deep in my notes and really knowing my notes. But I want people to read all of my notes. Listen to what I'm about to say, Mike. And you would probably know this. I've been harder on Cole than I have been on Kendrick. Listen to what I said about Cole. Have I not? Have I not been?
No, I agree. I think both of us have. I think both of us have.
Listen to what I said when Cole's last album came out. I said we may need to change our expectations on how we view him as a whole, as an all-time great MC. Now, from the moment that I said that, he proceeded to murder everything in sight since. And I am not taking credit for it in any sort of shape, form, or fashion, because it's definitely not my doing. But he has responded in a manner, because I haven't been the only one to really critique him like this, actually. He has responded that it makes you look at his peers. It's like, well, what y'all got for him right now?
Yeah. And he's out-rapping everybody right now. J. Cole is.
Everybody right now. And I've said that about him for a while. I've got up here and said on a while and talked about how he needs to stop producing his own stuff. I've talked about him as a producer. I've talked about the distance between him and Kendrick in terms of second place in this weak climate. When I am partly talking about this weak climate, I am talking about the distance between them two that I see in the album making quality. I have said up here and said that Forest Hills Drive might on a good day land third or fourth in Kendrick's catalog. Now, how am I being hard on Kendrick when I'm saying those things about Cole in relationship to who?
To Kendrick. And you've also said that Kendrick's, well, at least when you wrote your damn review, you said Kendrick was top 10. I was saying the same thing. Clayton is Sleep with the super chat says, it's a solid song, but like Coop talked about with To Pimp a Butterfly, the replayability isn't there. Is he saying anything new? Not really, man. None of it hit me. It's funny, when I was driving around and listening to it on the way here, I felt the same way. I'm like, I hear what he's saying, especially what he was doing on the last verse. Again, some of the perspectives is, whatever, but it was like, I hear what he's trying to do, talking in the perspective of Nip and all that, and I was like, but it just doesn't grip me like that. And I guess it was gripping other people because they compared it to when they heard Brenda's Got a Baby for the first time in 1991. Vincent Hughes with the super chat, and I'm going to get to you, Coop, my bad. He says, you don't compare legends to role players. Do you talk about Ron Harper when you speak of MJ? Okay. So also, Little Brothers can't stop us making better use of the sample. Carry on. Little Brothers can't stop. Oh, yeah, can't stop us makes a better use of the sample. Carry on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they did, actually. Okay. But what were you about to say, Coop? My bad.
Well, I was actually thinking about the other people that I've gotten on since we started doing this show. And there might be a theme to this. Did I not get on Kanye about Donda?
You did. You hated Donda. I love Donda. And so, but see, the thing is, I think when you talk about certain artists, or when you critique certain artists, let me say that. When you
No, it's cool
critique,
to hate Ye. No, it's okay to hate Ye. It's okay
it's
when I
okay
hate
to
Ye.
hate Ye. I
When
ain't
I
talking about him.
when I talk shit about Ye, nobody says anything. He
No,
named
but
the
I'm just
album
saying
after his
people.
mama. He named the album after his mother that I don't like, and nobody says anything. But this guy releases a song that's not even going to make his album, and I need to be canceled.
Yeah, we lost subscribers that day, but we got them back. So I guess people ended up coming back. But what I was gonna say, man, when you talk about people like Kendrick, Beyonce, Jay-Z, and you critique their work, if you don't like it, you're a hater.
Well, guess who the next person I was about to say? The only other time I've caught smoke for talking about somebody is Jay.
Yeah.
And the only thing I really said about Jay is that I don't think he's better than Nas.
Well, we never got lost any subscribers for that, though.
No, we didn't lose any subscribers. You want to know what? My best and my healthiest debates online with people like Leroy and Unc and others is because of that. It's some of the best online debate stuff. Mike, the Jay Nas debate was some of my best in-person debate stuff. It's probably the best hip hop debate ever.
Yeah.
You know,
LP
when you
says,
look at it over a length of time and over a course of time.
LP says whoever unsubs shows they're more biased than yours. Coop went hard on Black Star and still gave them a 5. Y'all showing true objectivity. Right. Because yes, you did go hard on Black Star. We both, I mean, you more so than I. My whole critique was just about how they were putting it out. But when the album dropped, it was like, you know what? This shit is banging.
It still is, too.
And I don't want people to think that, first of all, people think that we don't want Kendrick to win, right? My whole thing, 5-year break isn't great. I don't love the name of the album. I feel like if he didn't put out anything by the Super Bowl, he probably didn't have any heat. I'm just saying, right? And those are just observations here. I didn't like the letter. You know what I'm saying? So these are just observations. I don't want people to feel like I want to be right so bad that even if this shit is To Pimp a Butterfly level, I'm not going to admit it. That's not how we work here. And like LP just said, that Black Star rollout should show you the same thing. Because if you go back to the previous episodes before that Black Star album dropped, we were like, whatever, show me the music. And then they did.
Okay, so I want to go to the thing about people saying, well, hold on, let's go to a few different things because I got stuff like everywhere. A lot of people feel like we've been biased on here or don't like my perspective or my inability, they feel, to pivot or move off. Well, I'm sitting here on a pivot, actually. I was on the side of things about Kendrick, as most people that are attacking me now. But because of the Andre thing and about how I like to be consistent, which goes down to the work, which I think we're about to address, a lot of my sentiments about Kendrick hasn't been about the work. I think the work has been great. I've questioned the replay value of To Pimp a Butterfly. And we're going to get to some of that because some of that I'm very right about and some of that I'm wrong about. And we're gonna unpack that because I want to unpack that because of some of the things that people have said to let people know that like I'm listening clearly and closely, like to all things all the time. But I've pivoted about on this show. I've pivoted based on your thoughts and sentiments about Andre 3000, who is personally probably up there. Like until you converted me on a lot of that stuff, Mike, I would put Andre 3000 right between like Nas and Pusha T in terms of like my favorite MCs ever. It was Nas and Andre and Pusha. You know what I mean?
Andre's still one of my favorites, but he's disqualified from a real greatest MC conversation. Yeah.
Right. So a lot of the same things about Andre apply to Kendrick. And so that's why I've gone on this show and literally said twice in the last 4 episodes, I think, that I'm thinking about sliding Equipment down because it's not aging as well. I do change. Like when I say sliding it down, I mean it's like, well, hasn't Doggy Style held up better? Hasn't the Purple Tape held up better? It's like, well, that's what I have right behind Equipment, so I might need to slide it down. So I do change my mind about stuff. Mike, I just came on here and talked about how I just gave it to you and said, you got it on people's instinctive travels. Based on the conversation I had with my cousin Six when he was talking about all the homies riding on their bike and then beatboxing. And I was like, to what song? They were like, every song. We all
Pushing
knew the words to
along,
every song.
Footprints.
And
But
we're
what
gonna
I
get
will
to
admit though, like, I mean, I love People Instinctive from A Tribe Called Quest for the people who are just tuning in. But I listened to the Low End Theory the other day. It's a much better album. And I will admit that.
It is. I say I'm not saying that to rate the quality of Tribe's album. Let's say that it's like, no, my mind can be changed. I'm also objective in the fact that I've argued with people on here vehemently about how I don't think the version of I Am that got released by Nas is that good. Now, don't I?
Yeah.
And if you bring up Nostradamus, Mike, I'm liable to snap on you. Like every time Big Girl comes on, I cringe. Okay.
Yeah, we did rank the 5 weakest Nas records, and that was up there. Let me go to these super chats real quick. Ross Mando says, Mike, I know this week is about Kendrick, but can you please speak on Pitchfork's Black Star album review? Said the most and quality lacked chemistry, and the sound was disappointing over leftover Mad Lib beats. You know what? I just pulled this up. Pitchfork gave No Fear of Time 6.2 out of 10. We may have to speak on it.
Didn't they give King's Disease 2 like a 6.1?
Yeah.
Probably.
First Buddy says, my only gripe with Kendrick is his consistency. My only gripe with Kendrick is his consistency. But he does drop. But when he does drop, I'm not gonna pretend it won't matter. Coop nitpicks with rappers he doesn't like. I think he means that his gripe is his consistency and the fact that he hasn't come out in 5 years. Maybe that's what he means.
Well, let's address this because that's why I brought up the other people that I've nitpicked. Well, I don't nitpick really like people that I don't like. I nitpick people who are great.
Yeah, you got to nitpick the top 10 because it's a small margin of difference.
Listen to the people who I'm critiquing harshly. Nas for I Am and Nostradamus. Well, I can think he's the greatest MC of all time. Well, Jay-Z. Well, I have him at number 5 on my personal list and number 2 all time objectively. Kanye West. Look at who I'm rating harshly. Didn't I just rate Pusha T harshly? Isn't he one of my personal favorites?
Yeah.
I rate the people who are greatest the toughest. Is that not Kendrick Lamar?
That's what you should do. Milkshaw Benedict says you got to give Kendrick credit for challenging the status quo of rap and rap can sound like though. Not a lot of rappers are this soulful nowadays. Not on a mainstream level, I guess you could say.
If you want to approach it from that level, fundamentally about it being a more soulful approach to hip hop in terms of like the growth and development of it, that's why I want to address To Pimp a Butterfly specifically, because on To Pimp a Butterfly is listen to this. It's soulful, it's funky, and it's more concise than this record.
This isn't his soul though. This is Marvin.
on almost every song individually, and then it's like, well, how is a song that's not like a Marvin Gaye sample from one of his most soulful albums and one of his most soulful periods not gonna come off as soulful? How is it not gonna come off that way? It's Marvin Gaye's "I Want You."
Like, exactly. It's Marvin Gaye's "I Want You." I mean, you could put Plies over that. Whoever. It's soulful. It's I'm just saying.
Janet Jackson, no, you're right. He took Janet Jackson and made it work. Yeah.
Kenneth Palmer says, if you really look at the lyrics and what he's saying there, it's a bunch of great quotes and brilliance in his wordplay. The Marvin flip is amazing. See, a lot of people feel that way, but where are the quotes on there that are so, I guess, astonishing?
Well, that's the part I want to unpack. So let's go right here to, I think, the part, something that I said that I think tickled, got to people a little bit, which was the word salad comment. First of all, word salad isn't always a bad thing. Like some of your best hip hop artists ever are great word salad kings. Thought's a word salad king. Pun is a word salad king. Royce is a word salad king. These guys, Eminem's in there too. These guys have all made joints where there's a lot of fly words in there, and it doesn't necessarily resonate to being some sort of a classic or world-changing song. Kendrick's no different in that regard. So when I'm saying that it's a word salad, I'm saying that, like, no, he's lyrically precise, but it's not connecting on the level that he even typically connects if you go look back at his 2 previous albums, which is what we're about to do. I'm not comparing it to like Nas and Magic. I'm not comparing it to how I feel about the Black Star album. I'm saying, well, if you go look at how he connects on these black things and this social consciousness that seemed to have taken a hold of him since Good Kid, Mad City, as he's become, a grown man, what you'll find is that, well, he makes great songs and that are very concise and lyrically brilliant and conceptually brilliant that express the same things as this record, and they connect better. And I'm literally about to go to them. And you're not going to be able to tell me that these records don't express the same things as this record, and it's not done better and more concisely with better production. And it should be, because these are the songs that are on To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn. This record's not going to make an album.
Okay, we're about to get to that. I know we got like 300 plus people in the room right now. I want to ask you, what does this album cover say to you? Like, if you have to give any predictions of what this album's going to sound like just based on the title, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and this album cover, what does it say to you?
I'm not totally loving the cover, Mike, but that's more faith-based. I told you like about that is that a crown of thorns?
Yes, it is. It is a crown of thorns with the gun in the back.
I'm not concerned with the gun in the back. It's like you have on a crown of thorns. So like, who are you trying to do an interpretation, or like what are we doing? Like, because you have to be careful about that, because it's like at that place, it's like, well, what do you believe in, and who are you to believe in, and how do you believe it? Because you have to beware of false prophets. You understand what I'm saying?
No, that's real. You've said that on shows before.
I'm not saying that it's
Wu-Tang shirt got caught up. I got a damn snag.
I'm not saying that it's taking a shot. I'm saying when you were literally getting on your album cover and putting on a crown of thorns.
No, you said that about Kanye before, and
you got to be careful about this stuff, because this stuff is written about how the people who you follow the most are the people who you should follow the least. And if you go down to it, the guy who ended up with his crown of thorns, you know how that guy ended up with the crown of thorns? The people who actually were thought to have believed the most and know the most about the Lord are actually the person that crucified him. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like you have to be careful when you have a following as such that I make a comment about you that it affects our subscriptions,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have any immediate feelings, but I don't love it from the perspective of what it is that I believe in personally. Like, but I also too, I'll separate that from the music, like, because, KRS-One is on the cover, of an album, with a depiction of Malcolm X, and quite frankly, it's like, that album's fucking brilliant.
Right.
So the music at the end of the day is where the past comes. And so,
what do you think the approach is going to be? I mean, because, even outside of the thorns or whatnot on his head, I'm thinking family, right? And I don't know, maybe it's giving me Life is Good 444 type of vibes when it comes to the mood. Now, it can be totally off and totally tricked by this, and he comes on some, DNA type shit. Who knows? But I think that just based on what we got from the Heart Part 5, if that is any indication of the soulful mood, I think this is going to be a little jazzy. I think it's going to be more of a To Pimp a Butterfly. It's going to be more To Pimp a Butterfly than Damn, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no. It definitely gives off those vibes. Hold on. So people are bringing up the whole Nas Hate Me Now thing. No. I hated the whole Nas Hate Me Now thing too with the crown, like and all that. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, nobody's crucifying you like that. Like it was written as great. It's like, get out your feelings. Like I hated when he did that shit. That was super weak. It's one of the dumbest things he ever did as an artist, actually. Like, I know it helped his album sales, but like I hated the Jesus, like I hated the whole Jesus being involved with Hate Me Now, with Puff of all people. And quite frankly, that's back when I was like a big sinner and not even the believer that I am now. And like, I didn't agree with that. Like, I didn't agree with that then. I definitely don't. Like, agree with it now. I agree with Hate Me Now, like even less now as a grown man than I did then, and I didn't like it then. So people like need to be careful. Like I'm reading these comments, it's like, no, that's not the truth. Like I feel the same way about Hate Me Now is about how I feel about this cover right now. It's like, oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Like it's not like that with you. It's like you're not that, because that goes back to even that comment. It's like, well, you got to start leveling this shit out. It's like, well, did you make Thriller or even Purple Rain to like even feel that way about yourself in that space, to deify yourself like that? Because like those guys don't do that.
I think my thing with Kendrick and maybe and again,
wild, dude. Like these rappers be wild, Mike. They be like trying to deify themselves like Christ sometimes.
You're right. But see, I think my thing with Kendrick in this fashion is like, even with the artwork for the Heart Part 5, did you see that breakdown where all the hands, you know, one of the hand was coming from OJ and Kobe, and all that stuff? It's like Kendrick never really explains any of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I think for me, that's one of the things, like, okay, well, what exactly does OJ have to do with anything? What is your stance on OJ? And like I said, what does it even mean? It's like everything's left for interpretation. And when you do that, you're all over the place.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Me,
that's fine.
That doesn't, like, I respect when, you know, I don't want to sound like I don't respect it, but, you know what I mean? Like, I respect when people, even if I don't agree with their stance, give a stance. I don't like all of this, like, you just throwing everything out there and up for interpretation. I don't have a stance on anything. You know what I mean?
He does leave a lot to your interpretation, but I think a better way of putting it is that, well, these thoughts, like I said, are part of why I gave the lyrics such a low grade is based on what I know he's lyrically capable of, Mike. Yeah. He is capable of being so much more concise than this within this same themes that he is expressing. To Pimp a Butterfly is a prime example of him expressing these black motifs.
You want to go to the Pimp a Butterfly track list? You want me to put that up?
I do. Yeah, pull it up, please.
All right.
Because this is how you express black motifs and archetypes, like at an extremely high and consistent level throughout. I will tell you this, like, can I tell you what really happened to me yesterday? I was wrong to say that Damn is better than To Pimp a Butterfly. It's not.
Well, thank you. And you know what? I like Damn. I think Damn has better replay value than To Pimp a Butterfly.
What I was about to say is that the highlights and the home runs of Damn are bigger and better than To Pimp a Butterfly. Like when he hits the mark on Damn, it's better than To Pimp a Butterfly. But he doesn't hit the mark as often. And To Pimp a Butterfly, from beginning to end, if you just go song to song, it's more masterful than Damn. So I'm gonna switch my whole ranking of Kendrick's albums and put To Pimp a Butterfly right under Good Kid, Mad City as his second best album.
Okay. All right, let's go through To Pimp a Butterfly. So we got Wesley's Theory.
That's the prime example of being concise with a black motif and an archetype and it being creative. It's Wesley Theories. He's talking about Wesley Snipes' tax evasion, and he's literally got George Clinton on the hook singing, "We should have never gave you niggas money." You get what I'm talking about? I'm talking about the creativity, the expression of the black theme. Lyrically, I don't think we have to get into where he is because this is him in his prime that we know of. Mm-hmm. So lyrically, I don't even have to express like where these records are. Lyrically, he's top notch on here, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about the conciseness of the record, the expression and the creativity being given, the depth of thought being given to the record. The name of the record is Wesley's Theory. He's talking about Wesley Snipes' whole tax and accounting problems. Listen to the stuff that he's actually talking about bar-wise on this record. And this is what I mean about it being concise.
What you want, to a house or a car, 40 acres and a mule? Yeah, because he started that line there and then finished it on All Right. Dumb It Down with the super chat says, make a poll, J. Cole or Kendrick? We'll do that again. I guess we need to update that. Who knows?
We do that all the time.
We do that all the time.
Right.
What about For Free Interlude?
I left the interludes off.
Okay.
I tried to stick straight to the music.
Because he was spitting on there too. I wasn't a big fan of King Kunta, to be honest.
Okay, so I had Wesley's Theory rated as a 4.5 out of 5. And that's
you rated him. That's right. My bad.
No. I rated it a 4.5 out of 5. If you told me it was a 5 out of 5, I wouldn't totally argue with you.
Okay.
You know?
King Kunta.
I'm not big on King Kunta either, but you want to know what? Bar-wise, he's there. It's a 4 out of 5 record. You know what he is? He's concise and to the point once again on this record. Mm-hmm. He is. I keep going to the conciseness because, like you said, this Heart record, this is why these records don't make the album, because they're not as concise. They don't fit the format. They don't have a theme or a motif or an archetype to carry them.
LP says the Minstrel Show did what y'all are talking about better. The Minstrel Show was concise. I mean, Ninth Wonder streamed that shit together. Fonte was on point on that album.
He did. Fonte is just not Kendrick, and that's not a slight. I love Fonte, and that's a North Carolina thing. I'm actually going to bring up the North Carolina thing when we talk about Fife. Institutionalized, Mike.
Yeah. I like Institutionalized, and you know what? I think it's towards the bottom of this album. That's the weird part about To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yep, you don't know.
It didn't start off strong.
Okay, so
but you know what? It's funny. It's funny because not to interrupt you, but when I first heard To Pimp a Butterfly, I knew I was listening to something amazing. But it continuously got better, track after track after track.
Now let me ask you something. Mm-hmm. I actually think You Ain't Gotta Lie is the weakest song on this album.
Really? That's one of my favorites.
And that's the beautiful thing about this album, because I had a feeling you were going to say that.
You Ain't Gotta Lie is one of my favorites.
Everything on this album is like a 4 or better. And I'm saying that for everybody that keeps thinking that I don't have positive things to say about Kendrick. Listen to what I'm saying about The Pimp a Butterfly. Every song on this album is at least a 4 or better.
This album made me put him in another stratosphere.
Huh?
This album made me put him in another stratosphere. I think that, even me being a big fan of the Black Hippies and the whole TDE camp, I was like, yeah, he separated himself with this one.
Okay, so I gave Institutionalized a 4 out of 5. What do you say?
I'm with that.
Yeah.
These Walls is a 5.
Can we talk about These Walls?
These Walls is the best song. I changed a lot, but I think it's probably the best song on the album.
I think it's the third best song of this album. I gave 3 songs on here a perfect score. And that's that of the 3 songs that I gave a perfect score, that would be the third one, in my opinion. But what I will tell you is that, well, how can you listen to These Walls and tell me that what you just heard the other day is Life, or compare it like it's not even These Walls.
It's not. It's not.
It's not.
I remember when Damn came out, and I liked Damn a lot.
There's no These Walls on there.
Yeah, I remember I was listening to Abstract Radio on Apple Music, and they played These Walls in a mix, and then I was like instantly like, yeah, Damn's not on the level of To Pimp a Butterfly. Sonically, it's just different, man. Like, again, it's like when you listen to other Outkast albums and you listen to Akumina, it's like, yeah, those albums are great, but this one's another level. Tom Burnett with the super chat says, media loves nothing more than to crucify the great black entertainers. They want to label us all the same. Yeah, I mean, they're not trying to do us no favors. I definitely say that. KD with the $20 super chat, we appreciate you, sir. He says, what are y'all thoughts on Ice from Joe Budden's podcast, claiming if Joyner and Game wrote the last verse on TH5, then social media would have clowned them. In my opinion, he's right. A Nip tribute 2 years after his death is a week before the album. Come on. That's a very interesting point.
They would have said Game was clout chasing.
That's a very, very, very interesting point.
They would have said Game was clout chasing.
Again, it speaks
when Kendrick does it, it's heartful and it's thoughtful.
No, you're right. It speaks to the fandom, and it's one of those things that. Hold on, Dumb It Down says Kendrick's lyric, Fonte's greater than Kendrick with lyric delivery and subject matter. It speaks to one of those things that like Terrell Owens used to talk about. He's like, they have to pick heroes and villains in this game. And that's what they do. And people who are heroes can do no wrong. And people who are villains, they're villainized for everything. And that's a very interesting point that if Game did this 2 or a week before the album dropped, they would call him a clout chaser. And it's very sad because Game did a lot for Nip and put Nipsey on early when he was in position. Nipsey even said that on Game's album on I love that record. What's the name of that song that's on Born to Rap? People in the chat help me out. You know what I'm talking about?
Huh? The Nip record?
Yeah.
I know what record you're talking about.
That shit is crazy. But yeah, when during the break when Nipsey was talking about how they first met.
First met how he pulled up on Game and Game was by himself with the pistol on him.
Yeah.
And stuff.
So if Game says any of that stuff, man, like it's warranted, man. They got a real relationship. He's really done things for Nipsey. But you're right. If Game would have done this a week before the album and did a video where he was changing his face in the Nipsey, they would have called it something else. LP says Fonte is greater than K. Dot. He does what these rappers want without having to overthink it, and he doesn't try to make it deeper than what it is. Man, y'all going hard.
Everybody's going in today. Everybody's got something to say and feeling some type of way. Well,
Welcome Home is the name of the song. Thank you, guys.
Beautiful.
Beautiful record.
What I will say is that this is how the relationship goes too with the media, because Game's not a media darling, even though he's the one with relationship with Nip, and the one probably with more stories and more like personality and to give to this record. If he were to do it, it would come off a certain way. And you said something very powerful about how, well, a lot of this is because for this generation of rap artists, well, they haven't got a chance to miss a guy like Rakim or a guy like Nas.
Yeah.
This is their first time missing an artist like that, and they are kind of behaving as such, but there's still supposed to be a balance and a scale, and so it's like, I'm willing to like, you know, kind of like be a little bit more balanced with my scale, but people like need to like really just like scale it down, because what I've really been saying the entirety of this time is that when Rakim left, Rakim was the greatest MC of all time. And when Kendrick left, he was not that. As in, scale your expectations as such. This is more top 10 MC than top MC. And depending on how this album goes, you know, should really go a long way into where he is going to get placed all the time. Because I have a list of people.
Well, let me interject and say something real quick. Please. I think for that same generation that has missed Kendrick, he is of Rakim level to them. They don't know anything about Rakim to that degree. They know Jay-Z records from what they've heard, but they weren't living during the time of his run. So for people, let's just say, what are we in, 2022? Let's just say people who were born in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they were big on Kendrick from the time that he dropped Section 80 on to where he is now and was able to take in the break. They're just happy to hear him back. Not to mention people who might not be engulfed in as much hip-hop music as we are, because we haven't really had a chance to miss him because hip-hop's been so active and people have been putting out such great material. People have been putting out a Daytona. People have been putting out a Pray for Paris. You know, KD 2, Magic. It's countless of No Fear of Time. But people who don't follow hip-hop like that and all they hear is what's on the radio, they're happy to see the mainstream embrace Kendrick again, and they're happy to just hear Kendrick rap.
No, and I can respect that. So yeah. How about this? How much buzz would this record be getting if Killer Mike has a buzz for Run the Jewels? Because Killer Mike talks like this all the time. You get what I'm saying?
No, I feel you. LP says Game is also letting his manager ruin Nipsey's legacy.
We're not touching that.
We're not going to get into that.
We're not getting into that.
Yeah.
No. But does not Killer Mike espouse some of the same rhetoric, some of the same black power, some of the same black soul? Does he not exhibit some of these same traits with the same sort of similar rapid fire, like arbitrary, abstract flow and thought and choppiness?
I'll give you one better. And I know people are going to say I'm hating. I've seen Sci-Hi do these things many times. And Sci-Hi makes the same video
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously it's different. The machine is different, but again, when you see people in comment section saying some of the stuff that the person said in the comment section that I read earlier about this changing you forever, like honestly, man, anybody in the chat, when you heard this song, The Heart Part 5, you feel like you're a different person now than you were before you heard that song? Like, come on, man. Like, come on, that's just too much. Oh, hold on, y'all. My bad. Shoot. I'm doing a show, people. My bad. Go ahead. You there, Coop?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay,
well,
let's get back to Pimp a Butterfly. Oh, I don't want the Black Thought shit. Okay, so to Pimp a Butterfly, These Walls is a 5.
Yeah, These Walls is a 5.
You know what? You is one of those songs that I didn't love, but artistically I got it, and I think he executed well on it.
I'm glad that you stopped right there, because guess what my note is after you? This is what I mean about the replay value on here not being as high on a classic album. Because it is not on a classic album, it is rare that you have a song like this that you hear by itself outside of the confounds of playing the full player of the album that you're like, ooh. And that goes back to the whole Ozarks episode where you're hearing One Time for Your Mind by itself and you're like, oh, that's a whole vibe. It's like, You's not a whole vibe by itself. It is in the confines of this album. And I still gave it a 4 out of 5. But it's you know, one of the weaker songs on this album. And the replay value of it is where I question it, not the artistic value, not the creative genius, not the lyrical genius. How often do you want to hear it if it just comes on randomly in your speaker? Because every time something from Illmatic comes on my speaker, it's like, I literally ask myself this, because more often than not, I play it, it's like, well, do I want to hear that today? It's not a question of if it's dope enough to be played or not. It ain't like it's immediate skip. I literally have to think about it, you know?
Right. LP says K-Dot fans are like Laker fans who think Kobe is the GOAT but never seen Michael Jordan play. In their eyes, they're seeing the greatest ever. And I say that about certain LeBron fans too. Like, you know, if that's all you've seen, I'm not mad at you for saying he's the greatest. Or saying that, you know, he's better than Jordan, which I don't think he is. But for people that came up in the LeBron time, he is. Vincent Hughes says K-Dot wishes that he rapped half of Killer Mike with half of Killer Mike's passion. Excuse me. All right. What did you give All Right?
Listen to what I'm about to say about All Right. This is probably my sneaker thing on the album, because I'm like you. I wasn't really always a big fan of All Right. Listen to the reference I'm about. Listen to the reference I'm about to make. When I actually go back and listen to this album in retrospect now, this album needed it. Because All Right connects the album to the masses.
It does. And it was timely too, you know what I'm saying?
I've made a lot of boxing analogies, so if I were to call this a shot, I would call this Joe Frazier's hook. Like, it's one of the most devastating punches ever, but it's very understated. And listen to what I'm about to say. It is one of the better mic performances that you will find on a massive hit single, which makes it Rakim-like. I was gonna say
Tretch of Naughty by Nature like, but I'm okay with that one too.
No, it's lyrically Rakim, like, in terms of how concise and the message, like, almost, you know, like, people understand. Rakim's biggest hits is some of his most lyrical stuff too, like Follow the Leader, Let the Rhythm Hit Him, I Ain't No Joke.
Well, I think too, man, I think the timeliness of this album, we talking about 2015. Yeah.
Correct.
Wow. 2015. I can't believe it's been that long. 2015. And obviously, you know, Ab-Soul, who's my favorite member of TDE personally, like, he's really on some conspiracy theory type of rap stuff. And I dig that, right? And I saw with the cover and the concept of To Pimp a Butterfly right in front of the White House. You had the kids, and it looked like they were beating up on a figure that appeared to be the president at the time, right? Isn't that what you got from it?
More or less.
All right. And then you get songs like this. You get messages like that are throughout this album. And this is, mind you, before Kendrick's in the White House. And then after this, you see him shaking hands with that president in the Oval Office. And it's like, okay, well, did you really mean this stuff? I don't know. It's I don't know. It's really interesting. It almost seems like a pet project. And another thing that's very interesting to me too is the fact that they're bumping To Pimp a Butterfly up after the fact. I remember when Damn came out, Big Boy from Big Boy's Neighborhood asked Kendrick to rank his albums. He had To Pimp a Butterfly at the bottom, it was third. It was Good Kid, Mad City, Damn, and then To Pimp a Butterfly in the Section 80 or something like that. And I was kind of disappointed. Like, I knew that To Pimp a Butterfly was, the number one. I mean, he put the most into it, to me, for my ears. And now it seems like, they got a whole podcast with To Pimp a Butterfly. They're doing all of this with it. And basically how he's approaching, the Heart Part 5 sounds like he's going back there, where it's almost like they're elevating To Pimp a Butterfly again. MSN, they ranked his albums. They put To Pimp a Butterfly at number 1. And I'm like, okay, I see what's going on.
I will tell you that part of, I think, the focus and why this album is going to feel more like To Pimp a Butterfly than Damn is that I think To Pimp a Butterfly is more who he aspires to be at the inner core artist of him, for one, okay?
Right.
Who he aspires to be is more on To Pimp a Butterfly than on Damn, because I think what you'll find on Damn, and we're going to get the Damn too, what's really special about Damn is the mic performances, not the creativity necessarily. And I think he is somebody that has always been more concerned with how he creatively pitches the whole, which is why songs like The Heart Point 5 really connect more, because they have a visual aid to go with them, because he is somebody who is brilliant at creatively putting the whole package together in the way that very few hip-hop artists are, which is a great trait to have. But when we're just going down to rating the quality of the music, it's not going to make To Pimp a Butterfly. It might make Damn and barely that. So let's go to For Sale and Mama.
But hold on real quick. I think I went on that whole tangent because my thing is he felt the need to make a song like that. And it wasn't because things were going great. And I think that in retrospect, that's why it's funny that I'm like, damn, 2015, you would think that a song like All Right was made in the Trump administration, right?
I don't know.
The youth was anti-establishment before that.
It still feels organic.
Of course it's organic. It's real until you become a part of the establishment. And like I said, the cover for To Pimp a Butterfly was very anti-establishment.
No, I get all those things. I still don't. This is what I'm saying. Like last night, I just sat down and I just listened to the music. I get everything that you're saying about how it plays in, but if we're just going like on the song, it's a 4.5 out of 5.
Oh,
you know
awesome.
what I mean?
Ray Rims with the super chat, man. We saw the email too, Ray Rims. We're gonna get into that. He said A2HH equals one of the very last fearless hip hop podcasts. Appreciate that. We got a lot of work to do. Okay. Are you going to Mama, right?
For Sale and Mom.
For Sale. Okay, For Sale's kind of an interlude, but I thought you were skipping interludes, but it's still bars.
There's a lot of bars on For Sale.
It is.
That's why I kind of couldn't skip it, because there was too many bars on there. Right. And creatively, that's one of the more genius moments on the album, actually, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say on a creative level, that's one of the more like striking moments on the project?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I gave that a 4.25.
I think this is where the project starts to get even better.
Okay, so we're right there. So on Mama, so like For Sale's like a 4.25, but on Mama it's a 4.25, but it feels like steam is starting to pick up on this project, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy to say because we've passed these walls, we've passed All Right, and it's picking up steam.
Correct. That's classic stuff.
It is.
That's classic stuff. Hood Politics. What do you say? What do you think of Hood Politics?
Hood Politics is one of my favorite songs on the album. Like when I just listen to the album in a vacuum, and I'm like, I want to hear a song off of To Pimp a Butterfly,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the song I go to. Because we've spoken on it before. To Pimp a Butterfly is one of those albums where you have to listen to the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just go around and shuffle and stuff. Like, you have to listen to this album from beginning to end. And Hood Politics is one of those songs that you can pull out and throw on a playlist or something.
I feel that way, and because of that, I feel like on a classic rap album like this, it's a top 5 song. I don't think it's top 3, but I think it's either the 4th or 5th best song on this album, and it's a classic rap album, and so that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.75 out of 5.
I'm going 5 out of 5.
And I'm about to say, and I almost gave it a 5, and if you want to give it a 5, I'm not going to argue with
you. Yeah, I'm giving that one a 5.
Okay.
No. I mean, because the spitting on there is crazy, man.
Spitting on there is crazy. Now, right after that is what I think is
this
the best
is your
song.
favorite song.
It is. It's the best song on this album, in my opinion. And when I listened to it again last night, it's one of the best rap songs ever, in my opinion.
How much
really
a dollar
is.
cost?
I feel that way about it. It's chilling. These are my notes. It's chilling. It's flawless. The ending is one of the best endings to a rap song ever. And Ronald Isley makes the moment even more special. And it's already super, super special.
Imagine. Close your eyes and imagine. If
there's nothing on KD1 or KD2 that's better than this record, since people think that I'm biased. There's nothing on KD1 or 2 that's better than How Much a Dollar Costs. Not even.
Close your eyes and imagine that Sunday Kendrick released a video and we had never heard How Much a Dollar Costs.
Right.
And it would be this song with that imagery.
That's life.
People would be going bananas.
No, I would understand that. That's life. Like, this record is one of the best rap songs ever made. Period. That's how I feel about it. It's like beyond the 5 for me. Complexion. How you feel about Complexion?
I wasn't a big fan of Complexion. It's cool. And, you know, Pete Rock's on it, man. You know how I feel about Pete Rock and Rhapsody. It's cool. And you know what? But that's within the context of this album, though. That's just how great this album is. If it was pulled out and put somewhere else, I probably think it was greater than it is.
So you feel about Complexion, I think the way I feel about You Ain't Gotta Lie.
Yeah.
I think.
Probably.
But here's one of my notes. He gave Rhapsody a big stage when nobody else did.
He did.
And
he doesn't really do a lot of features either on his albums.
Yeah, he didn't have to do that for her.
Yeah.
He did. And so it's like, that was one of those things.
That was a turning point for her, too.
That's what I mean. It's like, well, when I look at what her career has become since then, it's like, well, the features and all the stuff, it's like, oh, well, that was the turning point. That didn't happen before that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, okay. No, you're right. I mean, because she's been around for a minute, and this is when people really start paying attention.
Yeah, so I gave Complexion a 4.5, but that was about all the components. Pete Rock, Rhapsody, Kendrick is still top notch. The beat, the beat isn't like, some of his best stuff, but it's still there,
Blue Collar Hussle says we need to be fair when comparing certain albums. To Pimp a Butterfly is a concept album, whereas Illmatic is not. To Pimp a Butterfly is more comparable to Nas's Untitled.
No, I don't find that to be true at all. I don't find the Untitled album to be in the realm of being discussed with Pimp a Butterfly because of that.
I guess on a quality level, but he's talking about, I guess, from a conceptual level.
Yeah, but conceptually, it's not fair to compare albums that don't execute on the same level. It's like if you feel like the Untitled album is conceptually like in the same realm as To Pimp a Butterfly, and I don't totally agree with that, although I get what he's saying, it's not executed nearly to the same level for it to even be a discussion of relevancy. You get what I'm saying? What is there to discuss in on an album where, quite frankly, I don't know if Nas has a track that is a 5 for 5 on there. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if there's a 5 on there.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, why would we discuss that? When
the
this
Black
album
has
like 4 or 5 5s on it, maybe. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to discuss it.
The Black of the Berry.
The Black of the Berry. You love The Black of the Berry, don't you?
I do, man. That was the first song I heard from this album. I think it is. Is that Boy Wonder? Or is that Hit Boy? One of the two. I think it's Boy Wonder. But
that's the beat.
Yeah, it didn't age as well as, you know, I thought it would. I remember when it first dropped, I was like, yo, this is my favorite Kendrick song. And I will say this. When I heard Black of the Berry, I knew this album was going to be good. I knew this album was going to be really good. You could hear it in him. And see, this is the thing that I think people don't really get from what we're talking about when we're talking about the Heart Part 5. I'm not really feeling like we're going to get a lot of flames. Now, I could be wrong, but based on what I heard on the Heart Part 5, it doesn't make me feel like when I heard Black of the Berry the first time and I knew that this album was coming. Or when we heard, Humble didn't do too much for me. I'm going to be honest.
It didn't for me either, and we're going to get to Humble too.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if you don't rate Black of the Berry super high, I'm not mad at that. I mean, I think he really did it on the mic, and I think the beat was dope.
You gave it a 4.25 because you're right. The beat bangs, and he did it on the mic. And I'm thinking, like, we're getting to the tail end of the album, and he has stuff like this on there. This is what I mean about the Heart Part 5 not being the life and everything like people saying that it is. When I listen to Black of the Berry, it's like, well, the Heart Part 5 is not better than Black of the Berry. The Black of the Berry, not saying it's the weakest song on this album, but it would probably be one of the last 5 songs on this album that you play, maybe. You know?
No. Especially in the context of the album. It doesn't really sound like it was, made within the confines of that album. It probably was either first or last.
First.
Yeah, sounds very first.
It was first. It sounds like it was first. It sounds like it was the transition.
Right. Next song we got is You Ain't Gotta Lie. Love this record.
See, and you love the record. That was my weakest rating on here. It was the only song that I gave. I put 3.75 to 4, depending on how you feel. But I know most people love this record more than I do, so I still gave it like a 4.
Why didn't you like this record? I mean, the beat was dope. His concept on it was dope. He was spitting, and the hook is great. I think the hook's one of his stronger hooks.
I didn't feel that way about it. I feel like You Ain't Gotta Lie, and I just don't connect as well as some of the other themes that he lands on this album, because I guess the biggest problem with You Ain't Gotta Lie and for me, which I both gave 4s to, is what I just heard before, because I've already heard These Walls, and I've already heard Hood Politics, and I've already heard How Much a Dollar Costs, and I've already heard Complexion. I've already heard Black of the Berry. So it's like when those 2 records came on, it's like, oh, well, it's not just what I just heard. Like, it's literally not the 4 or 5 songs that I just heard before. And I think maybe that's the problem with those records. I feel like maybe if You Ain't Gotta Lie was further up, maybe I might have felt better about it. I don't know.
Mike 100 says, Coop on Untitled, Nas rapped from a professor perspective. Kendrick rapped from Cube perspective. I'm talking about the movie Higher Learning perspective. Okay.
Nas is not rapping like a professor on Untitled. He's not.
You know what? I was listening to.
This is what I mean about how I'm not biased. Hold on, what you mean? He's rapping like? No, he's not. Like the We Make the World Go Round with the Game and Chris Brown does not sound like a professor.
Listen, Donnell said something I was gonna say. Nigger is a 5 out of 5. I love that record. That shit is crazy.
Okay, maybe. Fried chicken might be
great.
I like fried chicken with Busta Rhymes. I thought that was good.
Fried chicken too. But yeah, that Nigger, we are.
I feel what you're saying. I don't know, Mike. I liked it. I didn't love it. It was dope.
Yeah, another person said Nas, the Slave and the Master, 5 for 5. Yeah, I'm with that. I love that.
You went to the Master 5 out of 5. I always like Fried Chicken more than that song, but those are the 2 best songs on the album, though.
Now, this, in my opinion, this is the most brilliant moment on To Pimp a Butterfly. Because the first song they put out was I. It got mixed reviews because he was coming off of Good Kid, Mad City, and people didn't love I. But to put the live version on the album, I think was the most brilliant moment on To Pimp a Butterfly. The live version is awesome. Much better than the actual recorded version. It's one of those things like with Common and the Food being on B. Because if you hear the real recorded version of the food, it's not the live, Dave Chappelle version. So to put that version on the album was brilliant. That makes you a perfect score in a way where if the regular I would have been on here, this album would have dropped off.
This is what I mean about connecting. It goes back to what you just said. If you put the original version of I on here, that doesn't connect, does it?
Mm-mm.
If you put the original version of the food on B, it doesn't connect, does it?
Nope.
This is what I mean about it's not just about the words. It needs to connect. Yeah. This is it. I don't have anything else to say other than that. That's it in a nutshell.
Ray Realm says Untitled is in my top 5 Nas albums ever. People love Untitled, man. I'm gonna go listen to it on my road trip. I'm gonna hit the road in the morning, but yeah, I'm gonna listen to it. I'm adding that to the list.
You have to do that to yourself.
Mortal Man, love this record.
Listen to the Untitled album when you're feeling awake, not when you're feeling sleepy. You don't want to fall asleep at the wheel. It's very problematic.
Okay. What did you give the live version of I?
I gave it a 4 out of 5 because I still remember the original version. And it's like, you're right. Creatively, great move, but it's like, still saving face because that first recorded version didn't slap like that.
No,
real talk.
Mortal Man.
Mortal Man to me is the second best record on this album after How Much a Dollar Costs. Actually, I think it's a 5 out of 5, and it made. And I'm sitting down, and obviously it's late at night, but I'm thinking to myself, listen to what he's saying about being a fan of music. Make room for mistakes. Make room for depression. I was thinking well, damn, he's right. He said, listen to what he says. I hope my flow stays propelling. It's like, well, it has because people are attacking me about it. You don't even have to worry about that. It's been 5 years. Oh, no, your flow has stayed propelling. And then he said something that I was like, you know what? What the hook say, Mike? When the shit hits the fan.
Are you still a fan?
Are you still a fan? And I was like, you want to know what? I'm going to stand down. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to stand down. Because if I don't stand down, it's not fair to the culture because people are going to think that I'm not going to rate him fairly. And I would never do that to him.
No, real.
I would never, ever not rate him fairly and honestly. I would never, ever fucking do that. It's about the music. It's about the culture. Yes. It's not about how I feel. And if I have to stand down for people to respect the rating that we're going to give on Friday, I'll do that every time.
The bottom line is, man, we want people to make great efforts.
So this is me standing down, and it took me listening to one of my favorite Kendrick records to get me to stand down, because this is probably one of my 5 favorite Kendrick records. I think this is one of his 5 or 6 best records.
We want people to make great records. You know what I'm saying? That makes what we're doing even more gratifying and more exciting. And at the end of the year, we get to wrap this up and put it in a yearbook. It makes our yearbooks better. So yes, we want Kendrick to make great music, and we want this album to be incredible. And listen, he hasn't let people down yet. I'm just trying to be somewhat of a realist on this, that I don't want people to put these expectations so far that if he does drop something that is quality, then people are like, he fell off. This is a very big undertaking. And, one of the things that made us really start going there, at least me specifically, is that 5-year break. And it came out day before yesterday or yesterday that some Kendrick Lamar songs that he ghostwrote have leaked. Mainly Baby Kim. They said J-Rock and some more. People are saying that they have reference tracks for Money Trees. So this is an article that I found on Tone Deaf, and somebody basically put out on Reddit. Well, you know what? I'll go ahead and just read the article. It says, new leak: Kendrick Lamar ghostwrote for Baby Kim, J-Rock, and more. In recent leak, is reported that Kendrick Lamar has ghostwritten for Baby Kim, J-Rock, and other artists with a full list of songs. A recent leak is reporting that Kendrick Lamar was ghostwriting for Baby Kim, J-Rock, and other artists with a full list of songs. A new leak claiming that Kendrick Lamar has been ghostwriting for CDE artists, and more specifically on a large amount of Baby Kim tracks. Some of the ghostwriting credits and leaks are quite large, such as J-Rock's verse on Money Trees. The person who shared the leak on Reddit also included the snippet of information about Baby Kim's verse on Praise God, which was very disappointing to me because I thought Praise God was Baby Kim's breakthrough verse. And to hear that Kendrick may have written that, and maybe we would have been able to hear Kanye, Travis Scott, and Kendrick Lamar on that song, and Kendrick delivering that verse, all this talk would be non-existent. He's active. Okay, all right, let me finish this. Is why some lyrics have come across confusing. Okay. The following video snippet posted for Kendrick doing song references for J-Rock's verse on King's Dead, Future's Part 2, Khaled The Ways, Baby Kim So What, Baby Kim Bullies, Baby Kim 16. He also claims that there are reference tracks for many TDE artists, including reference tracks for 90095, Redemption, Blank Face, and Crash Talk. He specifically mentioned these Baby Kim tracks as well. And J-Rock's verse on Money Trees. Baby Kim Gang Activity. Baby Kim Opinions. Baby Kim A New Day. Baby Kim Stats. Baby Kim Rockstar P. Baby Kim Bust Her Open. Baby Kim Not My Bro. So, Kendrick's been doing a lot of writing. It sounds like Kendrick has been active. And you know what? My biggest thing was his inactivity. And if he's been doing all this writing... Okay, it's two things here, and I want to get to the super chat. Then I'm gonna let you go, and then I'll say what I gotta say. Damian Jones says Untitled is severely underrated. Songs like Queens Get the Money, Sly Fox, Louis Farrakhan are standouts. Overall album grew on me tremendously. Probably aged very well.
I would say production-wise, the album is aged well. Sly Fox is a dope record. I don't think it's a 5 out of 5. Queens Get the Money, I believe Jay Electronica produced. I'm a fan of Queens Get the Money. If I'm not mistaken, Jay Electronica produced that record for Nas, actually.
Is it Baby Kim or Baby Kim?
I thought it was Baby Kim.
I've been saying it wrong the whole time. Yeah, sorry. Baby Kim. People were like, Kim? Who is that? Lil' Kim.
Well, okay. So I want to go back to my notes about the Baby Kim everything if we can. So,
okay.
Well... Do you remember when we heard the album?
Yeah, I remember.
We both thought that the album was top 10 worthy for the year, but I said something to you. I was like, it sounds just like K-Dot. It's like he sounds just like K-Dot. And you were like, well, they're part of the same camp, Coop. And I looked. I
was like, that's his cousin.
Yeah, and you and me argued a little bit. Not like it wasn't like a heavy argument. It's like one of those healthy rap debates we had where it was like, well, I don't care if he's part of his camp or if he's fucking related to him or not. He sounds just like him. It's swagger jacking. We can't sit up here and put him on this list when he's swagger jacking his cousin, and his cousin is what? Not making any material. Well, it looks like his cousin was making the material.
Kendrick's been going to work.
Kendrick's been going to work, but hold on. And not only that, I remember this because I was like, no, Mike, because you're like, this is a top 10 rap album this year. I was like, and you're right, except for the fact that it sounds like a Kendrick album. And I was like, and that makes him disqualified from it being a top 10 album. I was like, because then we're going to get roasted for putting this guy in for making the Kendrick sound-alike album.
Is Baby King Morris Day?
Hold on. Listen, then I went back and I listened to it again, Mike, and I got even more upset at how much it sounded like Kendrick, and I knocked it off the top 20 list. And I remember sending you a text message like, yo, I listened to that again, and I went and checked the message. I was like, I'm leaving it off the top 20 specifically for that reason.
Granted, he didn't write all the songs on there, but a lot.
You wrote enough.
Yeah.
You wrote enough. Money Trees. That's J-Rock's most memorable verse, isn't it?
It is.
It's punched. It's Kendrick. Praise God. Did he write Praise God?
He wrote Praise God. That's Baby Keem's most memorable verse.
Exactly. So I was just thinking, J-Rock and Keem's most memorable verse, Kendrick wrote. What year did the Keem album came out? Was that last year or was that 20? I felt like that was 20. Like late 20?
No, that was last year.
It was last year?
Yeah, Keem came out last year.
So that would make this break 4 years, not 5 years. And then I thought about King's Dead into what, the 17-year-old young man that I talked to last week, Jack said about the Black Panther soundtrack and the Untitled and the Unmastered. And it's like, well, if you look at really the Black Panther soundtrack, the Baby Keem album, Praise God verse, we need to find out what's going on with
We need to find out what all Kendrick has written.
No, and the most problematic part of all this, as a hip hop fan, is Q being implemented in this on Blank Face and Crash Talk, which are brilliant pieces of work. And I told you, and a lot of people feel this way. A lot of people prefer Q's albums to even Kendrick's albums. It's like that with Q for some people.
If Kendrick's been doing all this writing, and you know what I'm saying, and Baby Keem is Morris Day, you know, and basically Kendrick's alter ego and a whole nother person, we need to give him a break for his break.
No.
And you know what? I apologize for even speaking on the break if he's been doing a whole lot of ghostwriting. This is just the stuff that leaked. Ain't no telling who Kendrick's been writing for.
It would appear he hasn't been on break. He's just been kind of like,
in the background,
in the shadows and in the background. And about that, too, well, you know, I'll stand down and we'll see what happens Friday. Because I really, like, he's important enough to the culture. He's important enough, even for being gone this long, to stir up all these streams that have him at number one, stir up all this controversy that has me getting vilified, stir up all these things that has people that he's breathing life into a culture when really this shit wouldn't even make Pimp a Butterfly. And that's okay. It's okay if the songs aren't always great. Like, and I say this respectfully, and we're going to talk about the single that he just released. Black Thought does word salad songs all the time that don't connect and make classic albums, and people still think he's dope. And like he said, he's like the walking God MC on the mic when he spits a bar. So it's, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's like, that's why it's like when people were like, oh, well, Coop, you know, I lost respect for you and this, that, and the other. It's like, this is a throwaway. This practice, he in the gym shooting right now. Like, I'm not expecting it to connect. I'm not expecting how much a dollar costs or Mortal Man or These Walls or Complexion. I'm not expecting that. That's not what the heart is supposed to be. And so when people are speaking about it like it's the gospel, I'm just going to have to respectfully disagree. And if you have a problem with it, that's fine. But don't call me biased when I sit up here and like drag Nostradamus through the mud like every single time. And I'm like, Pusha T is my favorite rapper, and I don't really listen to, you know, till it's almost dry after the first 3 tracks.
KD says, what are y'all thoughts on Kendrick said on King Kunta after these reference tracks? I'm not mad at Keem. He's not a lyricist, but definitely mad at J-Rock. I want to talk about ghostwriters and stuff. And, you know, I know we haven't really talked about ghostwriters too much on this show. Gary Bell Jr. says, any feelings on Kendrick's opinion on the culture? Yeah, I mean, I think this can kind of tie into it.
I mean, I think everything that we're doing right here is indicative of like his impact on the culture. It's pretty heavy. It's part of why when I'm making my like top 10 MC list, even, you know, 5 years removed from his last album, he is still viable in the conversation in terms of where he belongs, respectively. Like that article that I wrote about him being a top 10-ish MC, it's been 5 years since he dropped anything. But when I look at who the competition would be for that slot, well, it's like, well, he's still viable, like in that realm, which is one of the things that I wanted to unpack, which speaks to his greatness. All we've really been saying is like, well, is this nigga going to work? And what the work sound like? Because it's like, well, the work replay-wise hadn't held as well. Like, we had somebody from Cali hop up on here a couple weeks ago and tell us, it's like, well, they're not playing Kendrick like that out here in Cali. It's like, well, where are you? They're like, I'm in Cali. No, I'm in Cali. It's like, okay.
As far as ghostwriters, man, I know when we posted this article on according to hiphop.com about these leaks, people were saying they didn't have a problem with ghostwriters. And see, my thing is, I think that we've gotten to a point in hip-hop where ghostwriters have become the norm. And I don't think it's cool. For one, I think that if you're in any kind of conversation, and I know even when he said the line that he said on King Kunta, that was clearly directed at Drake, right? If you're in any of these conversations, best MC, this, and this, you're disqualified if you got a ghostwriter, right? And especially if you're a guy who's not a producer. I think we have kind of given producers a pass because they do a lot of work. They do the production or whatever. We expect producers to have ghostwriters. But I think the other part of this ghostwriting thing is when somebody like Kendrick's been gone for 5 years and we don't know that he's been doing these records, these are things that should be added to his resume. And he doesn't get the credit that he deserves for writing material while he's on a break. Like, even when we talk about Big and the fact that the stuff that he wrote for Kim on Hardcore, the Junior Mafia album, and then doing a double album and doing whatever he did on No Way Out, I mean, you got to give people credit for that. And so I think that the whole thing with ghostwriters, man, that shit just blurs all the lines, and the real MCs don't get the credit they need. And I've always used Kendrick as an example, actually. I don't care if Drake has a ghostwriter because I don't look at Drake like that. But if I found out that Kendrick had a ghostwriter, I want to know who's writing these rhymes.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? I guess you deep in the comment section.
No, I'm looking at the rap round table up in here,
What's the word? What they talking about?
Not enough. Next. Not enough. Next.
But yeah.
No, I mean, that ghostwriting thing has become one of those funny things because people still love Drake. They know about the reference tracks. They still love Drake. I don't want to necessarily, knock Baby King. You know what I'm saying? But it just appears that Kendrick has had a large influence on what he's had going on,
Yeah, camera went out for a second. Ray Realms with Super Chat, he said, "My bad, I should have told you guys Kendrick's been writing. I thought the criticism you guys were having for Kendrick was due to his vocals and inactivity rather than all the things that he's done as an artist. No, I mean, all the work that you've done is all the work that you've done. And yeah, and if he's able to ghostwrite for many, now I will say this, ghostwriting does get you points, but not a whole lot too. Like, you know what I'm saying? People got to write their own raps. Antonio says, hip-hop has been the only genre where writing your own lyrics matters. That shouldn't change if you expect it to be your authenticity. Ghostwriters are disqualified. It's different, man. Because in any other genre, you're singing actual notes. Like, someone might have a beautiful voice. Let's just say a Whitney Houston or Michael Jackson has a unique voice. Luther Vandross, you're a great vocalist. You could be a great songwriter, and you don't have the voice that those people have. You're not singing notes when you're rapping. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would a rapper really need a ghostwriter? If you need a ghostwriter, you just can't rap. You know what I'm saying?
That's why those whole Q checks being referenced on Blank, I think Blankface is Q's best word.
I think so, too.
So when you're talking about, it's like, well, he helped with Blankface, he helped with Crash Talk. It's like, well, you're higher on Crash Talk than I am. I still think Crash Talk is his third best album because I still think Oxymoron is better. But those are three great albums. And if Kendrick has helped contribute, let's say he contributed MC-wise to Blankface and Crash Talk the way Q-Tip help production-wise with the Infamous. That's big.
It is.
That's big.
Listen, someone's talking about, I think Miss Mo said we write. That's the nature of this genre, and that's true. Because what you look like going in a cypher, rapping somebody else's raps, you get out of here and bring the person who wrote this stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. It's different. A singer can go in there, since people want to correlate this to R&B and other genres or whatever, a singer can go in there singing Shaka Khan or whatever. And you know what I'm saying? It's fine. You're showing your vocal talent. You can't get in a cypher sitting here rapping Rakim's lyrics. Where are your lyrics, nigga? It's different. It's different.
Hold on. When we talk about Aretha Franklin, Shaka Khan, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Do we ever talk about their songwriting ability?
No, we talk about their voice and their vocal talents.
Correct.
Ray Rims with the super chat says, "Can A2HH do a ghostwriting examined video? Many people will be disappointed by who they've placed high in their rap ranking." All right, what rappers that we place super high have ghostwriters? I want to know, and I want people to put in the chat. LP says Nas and Jay both ghost wrote while dropping solo project. Whereas where are these excuses coming from? Big wrote for a whole group and had 2 solos in 3 years. One of them being a double disc, by the way. So yeah.
I'm aware of all these things, but like I keep trying to tell people, well, listen to what I'm saying when I'm saying, well, he's not Rakim about this leaving. I'm saying that to say that he's up high, but everybody you just discussed is in a stratosphere above him about some of the things that you just said. So when people are talking about him like he is Rakim, Nas, Jay, big level, well, you were explaining why not.
Antonio says if a rapper has a ghostwriter, they can't be GOAT. I mean, it's true. I mean, it's too many. We're too deep into the genre now, in the culture now, where so many people have put down so much with their own individual pen. There's nothing you can do if you're not writing your own raps to compete with somebody who has a pen like Rakim, somebody who has a pen like Nas, like Big, like Jay. They've done too much for you to compete with your writing team. Like it just doesn't work that way.
Your writing team ain't got shit on Biggie's brain.
No. And all the verses that he put down on Life After Death, like, and everything in between, the collaborations, it's just too much.
Yeah, your writing team ain't nothing compared to that. They suck.
And again, but you know what? This is what I will say too, to play somewhat devil's advocate. These records that Kendrick's writing for other people, they not like they hits though. He didn't write Baby Kim a classic project.
He did not. So if we want to unpack it on the other level, is he active? Yes. But like we said, that Baby Kim album was more like a top 10-ish album, where this is a guy that, well, quite frankly, the last 3 albums he dropped, those have been the album of the year.
Exactly.
So he's got 3.
And y'all are saying this is going to be album of the year too. This is what people are saying.
I will tell you this. If you want to talk about a teaser, and I literally said this to myself, it's like, well, this does feel like 1996. It's like, because summertime's coming up and Black Thought and Nas are on the way, and I think Jay is on the way too. Tell me this ain't 96 all over again.
Oh man, that Black Thought sounds crazy, man.
Black Thought, Nas, and Jay are all going to drop projects this year.
That Black Thought song I heard today?
Man, project this year.
That Black Thought song I heard today? Crazy.
That shit bonkers.
Tominette says, getting caught having a ghostwriter is like a fighter getting busted for roids. You're disqualified from GOAT Talk. Legacy tarnished. You know what? You're right. Because the thing is, you're not disclosing that from the jump. See, somebody like Cardi B, she lets you know that she got writers. So, okay, whatever. And so you put that in perspective, but you got somebody who's been supposedly writing their raps the whole time and it gets discovered that they got ghostwriters, you're done. Let's just keep it real. And I know people want to say whatever. Drake in the hip-hop conversation has not been the same since those reference tracks dropped.
He hasn't. Because he hasn't gone to reference tracks or writers. He's just went back to depending on his pen. And it's just been, solid results. And some of that is just, I told people, like, it's like Kevin Garnett. Got so many jumps in your knees. So many jumps in your knees. You got so many times that you're going to go make a hit record and make a smash and be the biggest thing on TV. Like, no, it's not normal. It happens to everybody. Michael Jackson made Invincible. There's not one number 1 hit song on Invincible. There's some beautiful
stuff. You Rock My World's not?
Huh?
You Rock My World's not a number 1 song?
Did you Rock My World go number 1?
It might have.
It doesn't feel number 1-ish though, does it? For Mike? Like, hold on. That's a number 1 song if like Chris Brown or Usher make it.
I remember when You Rock My World came out, everybody was going crazy. Once again, they were happy to hear Michael Jackson again.
Happy to hear Mike.
And, me as a big Michael Jackson fan, I was like, this song's okay. It actually sounds better over time, though. Maybe I was being too tough, but it sounds better now than it did back then. But once again, it reminds me of this, where everybody's just happy to hear Michael Jackson put out anything.
I would be happy if what happens on his albums coming up kind of just happened today, because it's like, well, You Rock My World in the highlight of that album. It's like Break of Dawn, Heaven Can Wait, Butterflies.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. Mad Max says Baby Keem's album was not a top 10-ish if it had 5 songs. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it didn't really ring a lot of bells. I mean, they won a Grammy for...
It was a dope project. Just listening to it, it was a dope record. It's just that it sounded like a Kendrick record, so I was like, well, no, there'll be none of that. So, next.
Blue Collar Hustle says You Rock My World was number 10. All right, well, we're going to leave it there, man, because we could talk about Kendrick forever, man. We already done taken up like an hour and 45 minutes on this Kendrick topic. But any predictions for the album that's coming out this Friday before we move on to the next thing?
As I look back at Damn, and I want people to understand this, there's no way that people can talk about the lyrical precision of The Heart Part 5 that heard him on, listen to these records, DNA, Feel, Element, Love, God, or Duckworth, and tell me that lyrically he's like doing something supreme. Like what he just did doesn't touch those records. That was on his last album stuff, but this isn't album stuff. That's why it's like, nah, it's like, I thought C- stuff, but we can say C plus B- stuff. It doesn't change the fact that it's not going anywhere, because it's just good at best. And in my opinion, just okay.
I think we're going to hear a lot more of this level.
I think we're going to hear something slightly better than this. I don't think we're going to hear To Pimp a Butterfly. How about that? I never realistically thought we were going to hear Good Kid, Mad City again. And I don't think we're going to hear To Pimp a Butterfly again, but I think we might get something comparable in terms of quality and consistency. And so what I would tell you is that I don't know where it's going to fall, but I'm expecting this album. And I told you, in order for him to be who he said that he is and how people tell him that he is, he needs to make something better than Damn. Okay?
You know what? From what I'm hearing, again, I know somebody in the chat was like, just wait till Friday. But we're here to make predictions. That's what we do. That's why you guys tune into our show or whatnot. That's what our Wednesday show really is for. Our Wednesday show was put in place to predict for Friday releases. But anyway, I'm predicting between Section 80 and Damn. And so for the people at home, I got it. To Pimp a Butterfly, Good Kid, Mad City, Damn, Section 80. I'm predicting between Section 80 and Damn. And I think musically, it's going to be more of a To Pimp a Butterfly vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's where my prediction is.
So Mad Max is saying Love wasn't that lyrical. No, it's not lyrical, but it's one of his best records. It doesn't have to be lyrical for the record to be a 5. I'm a lyricist guy, and even I know that, Mad Max. It's like it doesn't have to be super lyrical for the record to be flawless.
The Truest says Nas got ghostwriters, Jay Electronica and Stickman. I remember that rumor for Untitled. Yeah, I don't know how. Stickman himself said that wasn't true, but just based on the work that Nas has put out, I give him the benefit of the doubt if we haven't heard reference tracks. We got to hear reference tracks. Inquiry 601 says, where do you rank Dot and Cole, respectively, all time? You can handle that one real quick before we move on.
Well, let's kind of go to that, and then we can move on. So, on my all-time list right now, I have Nas, Rakim, Tupac, Biggie, Jay-Z, Scarface, Ghostface, Ice Cube, KRS-One. That's 9. At 10, listen to the people that I have in the next realm, and you tell me who belongs at number 10. Black Thought, Method Man, Jadakiss, Redman, Pusha T, Big Daddy Kane, Cool G Rap, DMX, Snoop Dogg, LL Cool J, Styles P, Common, Raekwon.
I got LL in that 10 spot.
I think I have LL in that 10 spot too. So after that, and I'll say those people again. So this would be the top 10. Nas, Rakim, How about this? Even for me, after Nas and Rakim, I don't care how you do it. You want to go Biggie, J, Pac, however you want to run that. That's my top 5. Nas, Rakim, Biggie, J, Pac, however you want to run that. After that, it's Face, both of them, Ghost and Scarface. Either way you want to toss that. Ice Cube, KRS, LL. Now, with those guys being taken and that being the top 10, where does Kendrick belong in relationship to Black Thought, Method Man, Jadakiss, Redman, Pusha T, Big Daddy Kane, Cool G Rap, DMX, Snoop Dogg, Common, and Raekwon, and Styles P? Because those were the names that I came up that had enough weight in the game to fight him.
Do we put Kendrick ahead of Snoop Dogg? I don't know. I mean, that's hard for me.
He's a better MC. He is a better MC.
Of course, I think we know that, but we're talking about collectively and everything that it encompasses. Our man says Only Built for Cuban Links 3 and Supreme Clientele 2 are on the way too. It's going to be a serious summer.
It's ridiculous. It's a serious year. It's one of the best rap years ever.
It really is. It's shaping up to be it.
Like no, it's going down like that.
Ryan Gillum says, this album cover tells me the album is going to have Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, and Damn vibes all on it. See, he mentioned all the albums.
Vibes. I saw more Section 80 vibes than anything else, actually, if you want to talk about the vibes.
I think Section 80 is a very safe vibe to go.
If it sounds like Section 80, that's not going to be good enough, though.
I think for the people who known him since Section 80, it will.
Okay, this is what I mean. That's not good enough.
But that's not where his fan base is anymore. Honestly,
no, that's what I'm saying.
Because this is the thing. Let's just say after Stankonia, right? Outkast gave us an album that sounded like Southern Playalistic. Now the people that were down since day one would be ecstatic, but the rest of the people that they just got from Stankonia would be like, this is cool.
No, this is what I'm saying is that. So I can't fight for Nas being the GOAT with Godson. You get what I'm saying? As much as you may love Godson, the album, that's not a GOAT conversation album. Section 80 isn't either. You feel what I'm saying? Oh, no, it's great. It's a classic. Is that a conversation album that, like, where you can be like, he's the best and here's why, because it sounds like this. It's like, no, it's not that. It's like Illmatic is that.
I think it is.
You feel what I'm saying? Mad City is that. You feel what I'm saying? It's so Section 80 isn't going to do in terms of like all-time classic status. It's like, is it a great project? Yeah, classic album. Yeah, something to put in the catalog to put him in the conversation. Yeah, but if we talking like that top level, and we're talking about where hip hop has been, because I'm going to point this out too. Part of the Rakim comparison that I made about the 5-year break is that Rakim left, but hip hop did get better after he left.
That's the thing, and this kind of happened here too.
What do you think just happened again?
Yeah.
And what happened when Rakim stepped back into the fold? The greatest of MC of all time stepped back into the fold, and it was like, well, yeah, he deserves to be mentioned with all the guys that he inspired. Nas, Big, J, like all those guys. But it's like, but is he as good as those guys right now? It was like, well, no, not really. And so what I'm expecting is maybe to hear something better than the 18th letter. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, if it's going to be like Godson level, it's like Godson level's not good enough. Section 80 level's not good enough. Not for the way people are talking. It needs to be Magic level or Stillmatic level. Like, it was written level for the way people are talking. It needs to be Blueprint level, Black Album level for the way people are talking. Like, regular level's not going to do for the way people are talking. So let's not try to make it seem like we're about to like backdoor his all-time greatness if he drops something comparable to Section 80. Like the stake's been higher than that for a while now.
Ray Realm says, do we give Snoop a pass for having ghostwriters? He's in my top 5 hip-hop artists, but I can't place him in my lyricist list. Oh, man. I've never heard... This is the thing with the Snoop and ghostwriters. We've heard rumors. Once again, we haven't heard reference tracks. And we know what Snoop does when it comes to him writing for others. So, no. I mean, what songs are we talking about from Snoop where you're like, yeah, Eminem wrote that? You know what I'm saying?
Are any of the reference tracks have anything to do with the Chronic or Doggy Style?
Right, yeah. So that doesn't change anything. I mean, yeah. Like I said, it ain't no pass. We need proof. And like Like my man Coop would say, we need evidence.
I want some evidence. There's been a murder. Yeah, see how people be talking about people. No, he did that shit. It's like, oh, he did? Where's the evidence?
They're saying Snoop admitted to it. What song? What song and what? Yeah, like, who's the writer?
The Chronic and Doggy Style.
Okay. All right. Well, did you hear that new Black Thought song? I'm gonna put it on the screen right now. Black Thought and Danger Mouse have announced, that they're releasing a joint album. Man, it's coming out in August. I don't know why they're taking this long, but they got the whole track list here, and we heard No Gold Teeth today. And shit was hard. So the track list looks like this, man. This is what the features look like. Got a song with Raekwon and Kid Sister called The Dark Part. Got a song with Joey Badass, Russ, and Dylan Cartilage called Because. Got a song with MF Doom, Believes. ASAP Rocky and Run the Jewels, that's interesting, Strangers. And a song with Conway the Machine called Saltwater. What were your thoughts on No Gold Teeth?
I think since we started this show, I have called Black Thought the walking standard for bars. Evidence. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about evidence. When I say that this man is the walking standard of bars, do you want some evidence? He just dropped some today. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like you got to be who you say you are. He is the walking standard for bars. Today is the evidence. This track for me, okay, so here's how I feel about like even that top 10 conversation. Black Thought is the guy that's really supposed to be in that spot. Because he is an MC's MC, and like lyrically, he is somewhere like over a length of time. I don't know if anybody else has been in terms of consistency, whether it be through lack of recording or not. Mm-hmm. Like Rakim and Nas, like especially Nas's resurgence. Understand Nas's resurgence. Like when people talk about life is good, when I tell people life is good, I'm talking about lyrically. It's just good, not great. You get what I'm saying? Like
somebody said no Jack Harlow on the album. We're going to get to Jack Harlow in a minute, too. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought that was funny.
Nasir lyrically just good. You get what I'm saying? Like Black Thought has been consistently great lyrically for a long time. This is evidence of that. I'm going to tell you something. Outside, the last time I was this impressed with him was when he made Making of a Murderer with Styles P. I think that was 2016. Mm-hmm. Nothing he's done on the Stream of Thoughts volumes, they've all been solid projects, but nothing he's made on those 3 projects, to me, resonates the way this does.
I think Danger Mouse has figured it out. I love the mood and the tone of this track. It makes me excited about the whole album.
All that.
Because I think that, even with those features that I read, I'm looking forward to hearing people like Joey Badass and Kid Sister and Raekwon and Conway over shit that sounds like this. With Black Thought? What?
Like, look here. When I heard, like, because I'm going to say this, I've been saying that Conway has been the best MC the last couple of years. Like, because you told me Nas doesn't count. Like, you told me Nas doesn't count. And I was like, well, then Conway. But yeah. I'll tell you what. Oh, Saltwater? Oh, you in Black Thought? Go.
Song of the Year candidate right there. Just off of Danger Mouse, Black Thought, and Conway. That's a Song of the Year potential right there. LP says Snoop admitted, but with sensual seduction. Excuse me. That doesn't really count. I mean, we don't add sensual seduction into Snoop's discography when it comes to us talking about him being an incredible MC.
That's not part of his hip-hop catalog, I would say, because he has a catalog that's kind of even separate from hip-hop to itself at this point.
Ray Realms also said that Snoop openly admits that Jay-Z wrote for him and Dr. Dre on Still D.R.E. He remains the only rapper man enough to admit someone wrote lyrics for him. I mean, that was the hook. I think that the whole deal was Jay wrote the whole song. I think we're talking bars. And that's the other part of ghostwriting conversation too. I'm okay with somebody else writing a hook. Do y'all really think Jay-Z wrote the hook to give it to me or something? Like, it's fine. And obviously, he didn't write the hook for Lucifer. Kanye did that. Well, so
He
we're
didn't
not
write the hook to his biggest hit and groundbreaker, which is "Can I Get Her?" That's Ja Rule.
exactly. I'm okay with that. That's fine. When we talking about ghostwriters, I'm talking about somebody writing your bars.
We're talking about those bars. Yeah, we are. We ain't talking about them hooks and them bridges and all the little.
Yeah. Of course, they get help with that stuff. But yeah, this track list looks crazy, man. And No Gold Teeth got me excited for this album. And you know what? I know this album's not coming out until August. Black Thought and Danger Mouse, please do me a favor and do not release anything else, man.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. Don't go the Pusha T route, please.
We don't need to know.
Don't go the Pusha T route. So I don't want anything leaking. We need to just hear all of this at once, man.
So, listen to what I'm about to say, because according to our top 10, we have LL at number 10. List of other people that we have in there. Because Black Thought and Kendrick are about to drop, who are outside of the top 10. Pusha T just dropped, who's outside of the top 10. Redman is on Fife's album twice. He's outside of the top 10. G-Rap dropped Diesel with Alchemist this year, which I think is like top 20-ish song of the year contender. We still got Common and Styles catalog. We still got Kane right there as an overall performer. So here are some of my thoughts about Kendrick.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Method Man is concerned, he's a better storyteller than Method Man. He's a better album maker than Method Man. And content-wise, he has Method Man. Everything else belongs to Method Man. Is that a fair assertion?
Yeah.
So his album needs to be better than Method Man's, because I could go on the other side and say, well, Method Man is better. Listen, Method Man has better voice, better delivery. You could argue, like lyrically, I would put them in the same category. You understand? Like, even though content-wise they do different things,
right?
Like in the same category. Meth is a better hit maker. Kendrick is a better song maker in the album format, so I think it's comparable. Black Thought, once again, everything that you say about Method Man in relationship to Kendrick, you could say about Thought. Thought's a great storyteller, but he's not Kendrick. Kendrick's obviously a better album maker, and once again, more versatile content. Guess what? Once again, Jadakiss. Guess what? See Black Thought and Method Man. So he has these guys basically on his album making song skills. And so that needs to hold in order for them to hold him off.
So he got to do that again.
He has to do that again to keep them off, because they're continuing to do all the other things that they do well and continuing to make better albums. Like Meth just made a better album. Kiss's last album, Ignatius, was a better album. The Lox album was a better album. You could say the same thing about Pusha T that I just said, except for Pusha T's better at making albums than all of those guys except for Kendrick. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Antonio with the super chat says, I've been saying this for years, that Black Thought is top 5 behind Nas, Big, Pac, and Rakim. The Roots discography and his solo EPs are the evidence. Eric Sermon, shout out to Eric Sermon in the room, says, check allmusic.com. They were hating on Nas's album. Always, they gave all Kendrick album higher ratings. Sorry for the bad English. Peace from Germany. Eric Sermon from Germany there.
Got it.
And Damian Jones, one more thing. He said, Coop, you severely underrate Life is Good. I have it over Stillmatic. The bonus tracks are fire, especially Trust. One of my favorite Nas songs. Life is Good is not better than Stillmatic. I disagree. Respectfully.
That's a joke. The first 10 songs on Stillmatic are better than almost every damn record on Life is Good. Next. What the hell are we doing?
Man says Method Man
Stillmatic is better than everything on Life is Good.
Method Man is better overall except solo catalog. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. No, that's what I'm trying to tell you all. So in order for Kendrick to maintain the stature that people are talking about as like top 10-ish, well, I just gave you, if we just named top 10 and I just gave you Black Thought, Method Man, Jadakiss, and Pusha T. Yeah. And I didn't give you Redman. And here's the thing about it. Even with Redman, Redman's a great storyteller too. Is he Kendrick? No. But he's more in that Black Thought realm, and he's a top-tier storyteller. He's got classic albums. Kendrick's just more diverse.
I think a lot of Redman's classic albums, not to interrupt, came early. And I think a lot of people forget those things that weren't around for it. It comes during that period, like you said. It was like before 94 hit. You know what I'm saying? Before we gotten that transition. It was like the in-between. Like Redman came out in between the new era and the old era. And I think that when he made those classic efforts, a lot of people, and then not to mention that when he teamed up with Method Man, he became bigger and, you know what I'm saying, than that. And so a lot of people who know of Redman don't know of him in that aspect, if that makes any sense.
I'm going to say something, and this is where Eminem has impacted this culture. Most of Redman's classic stuff is from 1990 to 1998, which is before Eminem got here and where the explosion of it getting and streaming out everywhere kind of happens and coincides. And Eminem does have something to do with that. You get what I'm saying?
He does.
And his last classic album is 1996. His last memorable moment probably as an MC is the Blackout album with Meth. What's that, 97, 98?
Nah, Blackout was 2000.
Is that 2000?
Yeah.
You sure it's not 99?
It might be 99. I remember, yeah, I think it was the fall of 99 because I was riding to it that whole year. And then
So a lot of his classic stuff got missed because it wasn't as, widespread, but it's still there. And Redman is one of those guys because of where he came along. He came along like right around that time when Tupac did, and right after like Rakim and KRS and all of them. And so he kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but he's there as an MC. Like Muddy Waters is a classic. What is a classic? There's a Dark Side, and Doc's the Name is great. No, Blackout album is great. How High? Like, no, he's there. And
Hudson says Redman is the only one with catalog-wise that comes close to Kendrick out of the rest that you name. Redman's silliness is what lowers his status.
That's why I said Kendrick is more diverse. Like Redman content-wise is not where Kendrick is, but catalog-wise. But what I'm saying is all of these things, these MCs that I named after 10, like you could put Kendrick in, Black Thought, Meth, Kiss, Redman, Pusha T. Those are all viable arguments. We haven't even talked about Common in his catalog yet, or Raekwon.
Not Common, man.
When I thought about this list today, I looked at Common. I looked at Common's catalog. It's like, well, we talked about how Common's catalog might be better than Kendrick's catalog.
It's very verse, you know what I'm saying? And he's worked with so many people. Like we give style points to Jay-Z for his versatility and his ability to work with Timbaland, Neptunes, Primo. You know what I'm saying? Kanye, Just, whatever, and still be him. Common's done the same things. Common's worked with No ID. He's worked with Kanye. He's worked with Pharrell. He's worked with Dilla. He's made great records with Primo. I mean, you name it. I mean, Pete Rock made The Bitch in You. You know what I'm saying? So
he's worked with The Roots.
Yes.
He's worked with Talib and Mos.
Yeah.
MC-wise, he's worked with CeeLo.
Yeah.
He's worked with Cannabis. He's worked with Nas. He's never ran from an MC. Listen to what I'm saying. Nas, CeeLo, Cannabis, Black Thought, Mos, Talib. He's not scared. KRS-One on a freestyle. He's not scared to get in the booth with anybody. No, Common's high up here.
Yeah, he is. Straight up. All jokes aside. I know I'm making little jokes here and there. All jokes aside. Common's top tier.
Look at his guest appearances. Like when I was looking at everything in totality, it's like if you look at the people that he has rapped with, well, he has rapped with more top level competition on record than Kendrick ever has. He's done more production wise outside of his box than Kendrick has. Album wise,
his feature game.
Right. So when people are like this is what I'm talking about. When people are deifying Kendrick, it's like, well, you can't deify him when I can compare him to Common and Black Thought, who doesn't have a classic solo album, and Method Man, who doesn't have a classic solo album, and Jadakiss, who doesn't have a classic solo album, and Redman, who lacks diversity, and Pusha T, who lacks diversity. Like when I can group him with those guys, don't tell me that he's Nas.
I think what hurts him is his feature game, to be honest.
Big's feature game.
I think there's two things that hurt Kendrick. It's his feature game and his hit single making ability in comparison to his peers. Because the only other person that doesn't have those kind of records per se would be Scarface, right? But he still got Mind playing tricks on him.
Big's guest records, hit-wise, are bigger than all of Kendrick's records. The guest shots, That's not okay. Like, you can't tell me that he's like all the way up there when I can give you a MC's guest records and be like he not. That's what I was telling you in the car. It's like, well, no, Nas got If I Ruled the World and Hate Me Now, whether I like Hate Me Now or not. It's like all right's supposed to be the saving grace for all of this, but that's not enough when you start getting to that high level.
Well, Kendrick, you know what? Kendrick hasn't made an Electric Circus or Universal Mind Control or Nostradamus or even a Kingdom Come yet. You see, I think that's the worst fear that's going to happen 2 days from now.
I don't think that's going to happen. What I think may happen realistically is that Good Kid, Mad City's not happening, okay? And I don't think To Pimp a Butterfly is happening either. But it's like I told you, in order for him to maintain his stature, he needs to make something that is better than Damn. And I think you can make something better than Damn without it being To Pimp a Butterfly or Good Kid, Mad City. That's what I'm questioning, whether that's going to happen or not. Because what I'm feeling is that it's going to be damn comparable. And what I'm trying to say is that damn comparable is not good enough in this climate. Things got better while you were gone. And I'm saying
if Damn drops this year, it's not dominating in the way that it did in 2017.
No, that's what I'm saying. When Damn dropped, it was like, that's album of the year, and that's done. If Damn drops this year, it's like we having a conversation. It's like Earth Gang. You know what I'm saying?
Black Star.
Ransom. Black Star. Czarface.
And then we still got KD3 coming, and we still got Black. Look, this Black Thought.
Gibbs. And all jokes aside, when Black Thought dropped the single and I know KD3 is coming, it did. Like Leroy made a comment, it's like, this ain't 96 for Jay. It's like, no, what I'm saying is that all this greatness coming out is making me feel like it's 96 again. And guess what? Jay was part of that greatness. And hearing Black Thought on that record, actually, I thought about Jay and was like, no, I want to hear Jay this year too, because Kendrick gonna be out, Nas out, Thought out, Conway out, Benny out. Look. Everybody. Meth is out. It's like, no.
Put his joint out.
Christian Ray coming. Like, come on. Like, everybody in the pot. Like, this is an all-time great year.
Well, another person that dropped is what many people are saying is the future of hip-hop in Jack Harlow. Now, first things first. Pitchfork Media gave Jack Harlow's album Come Home, The Kids Miss You, a 2.9 out of 10. Whoa. First of all, I want to say whoa. So anyway, Uproxx is normally very, I would say, backpack oriented, right? I mean, is that fair to say? No? Okay. They put out an article that said Jack Harlow's Come Home, The Kids Miss You set the tone for rap's next decade. Which I thought was interesting. I want to go through a couple of points because for that to be the tone and to get a 2.9 in another publication out of 10, I saw Rolling Stone's rating too, and they put him on the cover. They gave him a 3 out of 5. So, we weren't alone in the critiques, right? All right, so Uproxx was like, the RX is Uproxx music stamp of approval, best albums, songs, and music stories throughout the year. Inclusion is this catalog of the highest distinction we can bestow, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they start right away. Drake's influence is all over Jack Harlow's new album, Come Home, The Kids Miss You. I don't just mean this in a sense that he appears on the album's magnetic standout track, Churchill Downs, on which Jack sounds almost exactly like his hero. But throughout the album, I couldn't help but feel the same sense I did when I first popped in Drake's mixtape comeback season in my car CD player when I was 15 years old. To be clear, this is a good thing. Harlow has been mangled over the years and perhaps somewhat unfairly for being kind of, goofy. In hip-hop, there's more of a less always been a prevailing attitude that rappers should carry themselves with exaggerated coolness. Even throughout this Keep It Real era, nobody wanted most of the rappers to be themselves. Look at who all was elevating the cultures at upper echelon. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I want to go to the part where this. All right, from the Notorious B.I.G.'s manifesto raps to Eminem's serial killing horrorcore, over the top personnel has been the order of the day. In recent Real, Keep It Real ethos has been completely blown away by characters like Rick Ross and Future, who could have realistically expected to live. All right, let's see. Drake stood for in the comeback season, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You got this kind of stuff going on. And ultimately, you got other reviews where they're saying 2.9. And not to mention, Harlow got on the Funk Flex freestyle and was talking about his detractors and talking about people who feel like he's an industry plant, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to say this. This album is not good enough for him to be considered to be the person to set the tone for rap's next decade. Too much is going on in hip-hop right now. They not only said that he is setting the tone, they said this album is setting the tone. And I just think that is untrue. Who's the writer here? Aaron Williams. Yeah, he got his Twitter right here. So yeah, Aaron Williams feels like Jack Harlow's album has set the tone for rap's next decade. I just think that overall that's absurd. One of the things that Jack Harlow said in his freestyle with Flex is he's not apologizing when he wins his Grammy. That's not happening. I mean, if we're talking about best rap album at the Grammys next year, Kendrick's going to be in that category. And one thing the Grammys is not going to do, they're not going to do the Macklemore Good Kid, Mad City thing again. It's not happening.
You'll be winning nothing over Kendrick Lamar, okay? No. That's been made apparent to me even on this thread and on this channel. It's like, no, you won't be doing that. So I don't know who Jack Harlow thinks he is. But I want to say something. It's just like, do you think Pitchfork, like, this is two ends of the spectrum where things are just unbalanced. It's like, don't you think Pitchfork was a little too hard? And don't you think Up Rocks just, didn't know what the hell they're talking about?
You know what this sounds like to me? You know what this sounds like to me? It sounds like Pitchfork was the only major publication that was left out of the loop and didn't get the Jack Harlow interviews they wanted when they wanted to get them.
Oh, did they get mad?
I think that's what happened. So, yeah, because I've never seen anybody get a 2.9. Now, granted, I didn't like the album, but, it's
the production was soft. The production was really good. And he had some moments on there. And so like a 2 point, what do they rate? They rate out of 10?
Out of 10. They gave it a 2.9. Talk about sour grapes.
Well,
and again, I'm not defending dude on no level. But what I'm saying is I do think also, I think the Pitchfork clearly hears the grassroots because y'all be hitting them up all the time. And I think what Pitchfork wanted to do, I think they wanted to set the illusion that when Jack Harlow's talking about his detractors, they're talking about them. When he's talking about them and he's not.
Yeah, huh? I think the way that we have treated them has influenced their rating some in terms of their hesitancy to even give somebody like him a potentially positive review. Like, good for them for being shook up because it's like, I have a feeling that if we had not done some of the things that we've done, that this album probably would have gotten like a 7.9 instead of a 2.9. You feel what I'm saying?
I think so too. I think that the people have spoken and people, are seeing through this push and the fact that, Jack Harlow got an interview with Angie, man. No, Angie interviews nobody. Like, Angie only interviews like the J. Cole's, the Kendricks, the Jay-Z's out there. And the push has been crazy.
But understand too, you giving Jack Harlow like a 2.9, like that's that Malcolm X thing. It's like, well, you don't get to stick the knife in my back 8 inches, pull it out 5 inches, call that shit progress. Like, that's not how this works either. So if that's one of those moves where they are accurately critiquing and rating him, kudos to them for doing it. But if it is one of those scenarios where they are just trying to pull the knife out of our back that they already have dug into the point that we are bleeding out and dying, well, then that shit don't fucking matter. Still.
Did they ever review Magic? Yeah, they did. I'm looking at it right now. It took them a minute to. Yeah, they gave it they gave Magic a 6.8.
Okay, they still don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, but they gave Pusha T much more than Magic.
What'd they give Pusha T?
I think they gave Pusha T. Let's see. Maybe the people in the chat. I got my other computer open. Let's see, Pusha T. It's almost dry. Here we go. I gave it a 7.8.
Or it's almost dry?
Yeah. It's almost dry. I got a 7.8.
I don't. That's kind of very problematic. Yes. I mean, I would say.
KD says, I didn't. He said, I think they gave Pitchfork gave Scarface's The Fix a 6 or a 5. Did they? Jesus.
They don't. I mean, they don't know shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like the Fix is like the Fix on a bad day is like a 9.2.
Yeah.
Like on a bad day, it's like a 9.2. But even to the It's Dry thing, it's like 7.8 is fairly accurate if you were even putting it on our scale. I actually wanted to talk about It's Almost Dry. I know we had pushed it down to a 4. It's going to be hard for us to do that because I'm going to tell you why. 3 of the best rap songs this year on a 12-track album are coming off that album. And that's Brambleton, Let the Smokers Shine the Coupe, and what's the name? Hold on one second. And The Joint with Malice. What is it called? I Pray For You.
I Pray For You, yeah.
Yeah, those are 3 of the best rap songs this year. When you make an album with 3 of the best rap songs this year, and we're not talking about like your Ye feature or your J feature, which are solid records. Like Dreaming of the Past is a dope-ass record. Neck and Wrist is a good hip-hop. That's a good song. That's what I mean when I mean a song is good. Neck and Wrist is good. It's not great. It's good. That's a good hip-hop record.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Diet Coke is a great record. When you put together a project like that and you got, because I looked at it, it's like, no, they're about 3 5s on Till It's Dry. And Diet Coke is almost a 5. And people feel like Neck and Wrist is a 5. It's not. It's more of a 4. But it's more of an album when you look at it. It's like it's got some 3.5 stuff, but it's got some 5 stuff. But most of it is 4. But that 5 stuff, that Brambleton, that Let the Smoker Shine the Coupe, that Diet Coke, that I Pray For You, that pushes it to kind of more of a 4.25 than a 4.
It lacked continuity, and I think that it did better in that department when they paired up the Pharrell songs and paired up the Kanye songs and separated them.
No, I agree, Mike, but mostly because, these motherfuckers owe me money now because they took my idea and ran with it, and they think I'm joking about running up on them when I find out who did it. Like, one day I'm going to find out who did it. And it's like, because think about it, somebody got paid that watches us for stealing my idea. And it's like, I just want Apple to understand that I'm not cool. And whoever you found that did that shit, I'm going to find them.
Well, everybody's watching. Sounds
right.
Like.
Everybody's watching, including like whoever works for Apple that ran and told them that idea like it was original. Right. That's how this shit works. We didn't have rap songs stole out of my camp before. So it's like, I know how motherfuckers steal. That's why I'm funny about it. We got people that got distribution deals off people stealing out my camp. Like stealing from Holla. Like niggas from stealing from Holla and shit. Right.
Well, all right. Well, understandably so, this whole notion that Jack Harlow's Come Home, the Kids Miss You sets the tone. I think what they mean maybe, or where they're going with this, is where they think mainstream hip-hop is going to go, right? I think that this whole rollout for Jack Harlow was significant in the sense where it's shown that the mainstream can't just create a star out of dust anymore. You can't just sit here and tell everybody that this person's a big deal and everybody's going to believe it. You can't send this guy to the Kentucky Derby with Drake and they're running around like, like the next black guy, white guy cop movie or something, and he just becomes the next big thing. People see through that now. You actually have to prove your greatness from a grassroots level, and you have to do that with music. And honestly, the last time the mainstream did create stars, and these people did their groundwork too, is the Baby and Megan, right?
Hold on.
But they did their groundwork, so it's not
I was
really
about
the
to say, I
same.
don't even know if they were created as much
They're
as
not
they were.
created. They were promoted. They gave them that extra push when they were already doing their thing.
They did their work first, Mike.
LP says if Jack gets a 2.9, then KD3 is gonna get a 1.5.
Right.
Yeah, I tell you what. No, it's not. If we wouldn't have said anything, I'm sure it would have. But yeah, they know better than to pull that BS on KD3 this time. I know y'all pulling up.
Right.
All right, well, the other thing we were going to talk about before we got out of here, man, there's been a lot of interesting conversations when it comes to, this whole Young Thug and Gunna YSL situation. And I think one of the more interesting parts of this conversation is lyrics from rap songs being used in the court of law. And first of all, off top, how do you feel about that? Because I know that Jay-Z and a few others, I want to say Meek Mill, they have been really pushing for how unlawful and unfair they think that notion is.
You want to know what my senior exit essay paper was on in high school, Mike?
What's that?
Censorship in music. And how there was a time, people need to understand this, when I was graduating from high school in 1999, what I had seen take place in the 90s was actually a place and a space creatively where the rappers actually weren't free to speak as freely as they wanted to without there being vitriol and issues behind it. My senior exit paper in high school for West Charlotte was about censorship in music. And so this is something that I've actually always monitored on a personal level in terms of what is allowed and what is not allowed. I have been one of those people, obviously, as somebody that's been a writer my whole life and that used to be an MC and that's a lover of the arts, that really believes in the full freedom of expression. I say a lot of things in jest, even about Kendrick. I am very aware of his full scope of brilliance as an artist, okay? Because he's an artist even beyond music in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But this is where the floodgates being open, and I'm not saying this to be funny because people know me for saying this. This is where things not being censored become very fucking problematic. And I'm not joking at all. This shit a problem.
Because, is it a censorship thing or is it more of...
Censorship doesn't exist anymore. Here's why censorship doesn't exist anymore. Censorship doesn't exist anymore because 9/11 happened. And when 9/11 happened, a lot of your rights about privacy and censorship, a lot of that shit fundamentally and legally got stripped down and taken from us. And people don't understand it. But what it does for the government, specifically the law enforcement side of the government, specifically people who work federal cases, RICO cases, trafficking, racketeering, drug, murder, conspiracy, gang-related cases. What it does is it gives those people in those positions who already have more resources than you can imagine. The police are the biggest fucking gang in the world. What it gives them is free bands. And when I mean free bands, what it does is it gives them the right to look and inquire and give all of your shit levity and balance because you want what? Creative, artistic license and freedom. Well, you about to get it. And here's what you about to get. You about to get them clocking everything that you did on social media and everything that you said on record. So I hope that you're happy being about whatever life it is that you were about live on social media and on record, because pretty much post 9/11, oh, that shit can get you locked all the way the fucked up.
Yeah. Well, the way that they're positioning it is the fact that it's depicting the character of the defendant, right? Or the prosecutor is, positioning it in that way. And so my question would be, from Jay-Z's standpoint, and the fact that he doesn't want these things to be used even in that light, what are the rappers? Are the rappers actually characters? Because I think what we're being sold to as consumers and what fans have always been sold is that you're giving people your life. You're giving people your experience. You're keeping it real or whatever. So, okay, if we separate those things, and we always see rappers correlate this to, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger playing the Terminator or whatever. But no one's going to pull Arnold Schwarzenegger into trial and build his character based on the Terminator.
Well, listen, that's what I'm saying. So listen to this, because in Arnold Schwarzenegger's personal life, the worst thing that he was really doing was just fucking the nanny. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, you can't go out here and, like, push weight, commission murder, commit conspiracy. All of these things allegedly. Like, when your name gets attached to those things and you're in a sphere where you talk about those things, and when you go on social media and your friends go on social media and you display those things, did you listen? Like, okay, so people are talking about my body language when I was talking about Kendrick on Monday. You want to talk about some body language? Did you see the DA yesterday for Fulton County? When they started talking about social media, did you see the smile on her face? Like, did you see that underlying smirk? Like, the smirk on her face when they were talking about social media and relationships to rappers was almost like, that's how we get you punk ass niggas. like she was almost like, yeah, oh, you didn't know, like, they put this shit on broadcast and we just sit up there. Like, the homie Matt was yesterday, we were talking about it. He kept sending me memes of feds taking pictures and notes. Like, yeah, like, while these rappers be talking, this is how the police be.
Well, it's I think this, and
like,
go ahead.
My dad took me to a Snoop Dogg concert once when I was, I believe, 22. The Up in Smoke tour. Remember the Up in Smoke tour?
Yeah, I remember that. Classic.
My pops took me to Lakewood, and he was in the car. My pops is a funny dude. He's from Youngstown. Like, it's Ohio player shit. He talked. Like, he said, the game is to be sold, not to be told. And that's not the fucking Snoop Dogg album shit. That's real life out here. You feel me?
Well, I think, too, the thing that's problematic, and I think where we're going here, and maybe not problematic per se, I think that after seeing something like this, mainstream hip-hop is probably going to go away from a lot of that gang talk. You know what I mean? Like, we hear it in the music all the time, and I think even last week when we had our little sidebar about R&B, and you were talking about that with Chris Brown and whatever, and it's like, that's in hip-hop culture real heavy in the music. And I don't think it would be a bad thing if it did go away in that, aspect, because for some people who don't really have to be living that lifestyle, they feel like they do because their favorite artist does, and it's cool. And I think from a mainstream level and on a business perspective, that's going to become one of those things that these major labels ain't going to want to put themselves next to. LP with the super chat says, these cats need to stop dry snitching on themselves. They talk about real life stuff on record, and Arnold ain't killing no dudes in real life. No, that's real. And somebody brought up, I was having a personal conversation with somebody about, not Wes Craven, but what's the other writer?
Stephen
King. Yep. And all the crazy stuff that he would write.
He writes sadistic, demonic, troubling, like,
yeah. But do you not think that if some bodies popped up around him, they wouldn't bring some of those novels into question?
He needs some help. He better not ever have no smoke.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
yeah, they're going to burn his house down if there's ever some smoke.
Because, they'll think it could probably lead them to something or to some sort of... I mean, that's what your art is. And that's honestly, even with Kendrick, we're waiting to hear what Kendrick has to say because we want to know, what I'm saying, where he is perspective-wise and what's going on in the world and what he has to say. So I don't think you can separate the message from the messenger, if that makes any sense.
We used to live in a time, people have to understand this is like, let's go back when Tupac got locked up, okay? He got sent to Rikers, okay? we had to find out like through interview like transcripts like what happened in the club that night. Like when he went to court, it wasn't like, think about it, it had happened like way before that. It wasn't until he got to court and transcripts even got disseminated that we even got like his full take on what happened, her full take, and like all of that. Like it's different now. Like when you go live and you talk now, it's gonna go everywhere. And so really what and I hate to say it like this, like when are black men with money gonna understand that just because you have money, that don't mean shit to white people? Like you're still a target. Like I saw T.I.'s post is like when they ever gonna KKK, like give the RICO to the KKK.
They're not.
Well, they're not. We live in America. Don't you understand that like we're going to be like
are you waiting on that? I've seen that meme going around.
I'm tired of Mike, I'm so serious. I'm tired of black men with money disseminating that type of information. Like they don't know what time it is. It's like, we up against it.
Well, you know what? You know when that's gonna happen? You know when that's gonna happen?
Is don't use cute ass posts like T.I. did talking about when they gonna give the KKK the RICO. Come out and say that this country is racist and black men get taken down first. Be a fucking man about it. Don't do that cute shit.
No, I feel you. And to answer that question, when that's going to happen is when black people control the economy and the branches of government are in all positions at all levels. Are the judges in the district attorney, not the district attorneys, but
listen to what I'm about to say. The same way that black men leverage other things that have power and money, why don't you start leveraging that message? You get what I'm saying? Because they are obviously watching what we are saying on social media and on record. Why don't you start disseminating the oppression more instead of just popping up and doing a meme and then going to doing a comedy show? And it's like, I love T.I., but it's like, come on, fam.
Well, I love T.I. too. And this is the thing.
That convoluted shit though. Like that this country and this society is racist. And
well, this is my take on that. And not to interrupt you, man, but this is my take on that. He has backed so many of these politicians that have sitting seats. You should be above the memes, right? Like even when the DA, Fannie Willis, was running, Dwight Howard's uncle, who was running, and who honestly, man, got jammed up because he fired those officers and really put pressure on those officers in that Wendy's situation. And they got him up out of there. And they got people to rally around Fannie Willis. And at that time, when all that was going on, when people were talking about how important it was to keep Howard in place, none of these guys who get behind all of these candidates were saying anything. Don't say anything now.
It's not. No, I'm okay with you saying something now. Say something intelligent.
Well, don't say anything like through memes.
No. Right. No. What I'm saying is that don't fan the flames. Say something truly like intelligent, insightful, impactful. Don't just throw up a meme talking about KKK ain't got the RICO. No. Speak to this with the intelligence and with the discipline that it requires in order for change to be made. And we have too many black men with money.
Sorry, man. Hold on 1 second, man. My bad. Say that again.
Well, you just have too many men in that sphere. I just didn't like the tone of it and the feel of it. It's like, no, we have to start addressing that with some intelligence, some education, and we need to start moving differently a little bit, quite frankly, too, Mike, like within the sphere of this community. It's like, oh yeah, like putting all that shit up like on Front Street like isn't as cool as you said it was. Not if like the feds are literally taking pictures. Like I came on this show once and I said this like in Faith once, it's like, yo, when Kanye's talking, I feel Kanye because it's like, well, God knows everything, but like the devil is like the ops, like the feds always taking pictures. I compared the devil to the feds for a reason. You feel me? Like, is it not on our side?
People said change your ringer, man. Yeah, man. No, 100%. And I think that the stance here is the fact that I think where we need to go from here and where I hope we go from here is the fact that being artists and express your art. And you don't have to be this, and this to be cool. You know what I mean? I think coming up, Outkast did a really good job with that, just for people that were older than me, that I looked up to, that weren't like super old. They were still young when they was doing their thing. They made it cool to be different and not have to be out here doing this and that. And I think what happens in hip hop especially, I think that a certain level of street adds a certain level of coolness, at least for young people and, just for some artists in general. And when shit gets real, everybody want to be like, oh, no, you can't look at the lyrics. Like, well, it's out there, man. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to give you somebody that's kept all his street cred, been cool, been sexy, like been everything, and ain't lost nothing because you don't know nothing. Method Man. The game is to be sold, not to be told. Look at all the millions upon millions of dollars that he's made, and look at what his notoriety looks like. What do you know about him in the streets? Like, you don't know nothing about him in the streets except for if you can get Wu-Tang Clan to talk about what happened early on. Keep it close. Keep it quiet. Keep it close. The game is to be sold, not to be told.
I think the other part about, when you jump in this profession as an MC and as a professional artist, you're an artist now. All that other stuff, it's got to go.
It does.
It's just it.
It does.
Especially if you want to talk about
it. And here's what people have to understand. Like, everybody got an ego. You can't get up and talk about gang shit and you fucking with the biggest gang in the world, and that's the police. And I know that firsthand. You can't, like, there's nothing that's going on
that they don't know about. Right.
I can give you specific situations that have happened to me in Fulton County where it's like, oh, no. They know everything, and it's all about what they're going to allow you to do because they know. Like, they know who you are. They know how you're moving. They know what you're doing. And I speak to that. True Life never have done anything on the scale of what's being thrown at these cats right now. And I know how Fulton County... Mike, they put a wiretap on somewhere where I worked one time about people that I was associated with. It's not a fucking game.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking game. It's not. They can do that just off the strength of that. That's what I mean about 9/11 changing thing. It's like, no. We think that this shit might be going on. It's like, oh, no, throw the wire up, tap the phone. They can just do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For public safety.
For quote unquote.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean,
I know personally that it happens in Fulton County because it's happened to me. They still tap my phone sporadically.
Somebody in the chat was like, did you call Method Man sexy?
To women, yes. He's been. Like, he's been a lot of different things is what I'm saying, but one thing he's never been is losing street credibility, but tied to some street shit going on that would violate his money.
You're making music, you know what I mean? At this point, you're in the entertainment world, and I know that, Thug, and I've said this on this show before, Thug's a legend, whether you like it or not. You know what I'm saying? And he's had a lot of marketing opportunities. I mean, he's been paired up with any and everybody. Elton John.
Atlanta suffers musically from, like, this happening. Like, people need to understand that, too. It's like, if you just want to keep it to the music, it's like, no. We're suffering from that.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I think that even if he gets out of this, his marketability and, certain deals and all that stuff, it diminishes. And that's unfortunate. And again, when you're in this artist world and artist realm, you gotta leave all that other stuff behind, man, because now you have a whole nother profession.
I mean, I don't know what people know about the RICO. The RICO doesn't come unless they pretty much already got you. The RICO
they said they've been watching this since like 2015.
Like the RICO is one of those things where it's like, that's them stamping you to let everybody else know that they got you and you're probably not going anywhere except for, like, by the grace of God or, like, the best attorney in the nation.
LP says during the protest, T.I. cared about his investments. Yeah, it was pretty problematic. You know what? On that note,
we don't want to talk about that next.
On that note, man, we probably need to get up out of here, man.
Fife
before we go.
We gotta do Fife. We gotta do Fife his due. Yeah.
Let me pull up the album.
I feel like we've done everything to give Fife his due. Don't you feel like?
Yeah, man. I like the album, and I wish it would have come sooner. but I know that they had to put it together. I got the track list up here. What did you think about the album?
I felt like it was wonderfully put together. I mean, you got beats from Dilla, Ninth Wonder, Crisis, Ali Shaheed.
It gets no better than that, and I think it was perfect. Like the way they put it together, it fit his vibe, fit everything that he had going on. I know you said offline, like the question is like, how does this compare with Meth, Czarface? It's right there.
This was an easier listen than those two, but I would probably rank it the same as those two, which would be at 4.25. Even though this was
the production was probably better than all the other two.
The production was better than the other two.
Yeah.
Posthumously put together wonderfully. There's a lot of North Carolina influence on here, and I love that. I want to say something about my home state right quick. Of all the southern states, no states blends the classic hip-hop New York aesthetic into the culture better than my state as far as southern states goes.
No, that's real.
And you can hear it on this album. And, you know, Rhapsody, J. Cole, and Little Brother, I think, exemplify that. It's like, well, they all from North Carolina. But it's like, you can put them damn near anywhere on some rap shit and it works. Because that's kind of what North Carolina hip-hop rap scene is like. I just want to shout out, like, the rap scene that kind of, like, birthed me. Because I hear the North Carolina influence on this album, and Phife is talking about the North Carolina connection on this album. And it's like I told you, it's like, no. A lot of dudes from up top, they family from down there.
It's a perfect vibe.
Yeah. Kane live in Raleigh, you know.
A lot of New Yorkers, a lot of New Yorkers transport and, you know, just set up shop in Carolina.
Because it's a lot, you want to know what it is? It's the opposite of New York. It's like a lot of trees, a lot of land, a lot of space, a lot of quiet. It's slow. People don't really mess with you too much or look at you too hard. You feel me?
Let me get to Ray Rims real quick because it was something else in the email. I didn't want to leave this out. He sent the email. He said, I know today's show is going to be packed. Yes, it was. Can you brothers touch on Pusha T's statement about Jay-Z and Nas don't make good music together? Yeah, we talked about that.
Did he say that?
I guess so.
He's been watching us too.
Probably. I agree wholeheartedly. I think Sorry Not Sorry is just not a good song. And especially when you talk about, you know, what Nas was making last year on his scale.
They really don't be on no rap shit outside. Okay, so Black Republican and Success are the only songs that are just like on some rap shit.
I think they lack chemistry. And you can even hear that on the songs that they did that were actually good. Ray Rams also asked, did you brothers check out Pusha T's Drink Champs interview?
I haven't yet, but I need to.
Yeah. But yeah, Phife Dawg, man. Dope album. I think that at this point, it's probably going to rank in that yearbook that we're developing right now. And yeah, if you haven't got the 2020 and 2021 yearbook, we got it in the description where you can get on Amazon. You can get the digital version. It'll be the physical version will be at your doorstep in days.
How about this? This is one of those albums that I think is going to accentuate how great this year is about to be, because even though this album is getting like, what would you rate it?
I think maybe like a 4.25.
That's what I was thinking. So I think this is probably going to end up, because we have a lot of 4.25s because it's a special year, and I'm saying that respectfully. Yeah. This is probably going to end up being like somewhere in the 15 to 25 category in terms of rap albums, which I think is going to say a lot about this rap year.
Very good year, man.
He said the most poignant part of this album, I don't know if you caught it, when he talks about people's instinctive travels, Mike, and on the song Forever, and he brings up the fact that he only has 4 verses on the album.
Yeah, I heard that.
And that he didn't write any of those verses. That makes People's Instinctive Travels a Q-Tip solo album all the way through.
Mm-hmm. I've always said this.
So I just wanted to give you some flowers right quick, Mike, because you've always said People's Instinctive is really a Q-Tip solo album and not a Tribe album. Well, the 4 verses that Phife is talking about that he didn't write, well, we all know who wrote them. And so there's the evidence.
So Q-Tip wrote produced that whole album.
Right, and so I want to give Q-Tip, even though we're talking about Phife and giving Phife some flowers, we got to give Q-Tip some flowers too, because that means Q-Tip literally as a solo artist, if we were just to parse it down, well, he has a 5 mic album as a solo artist, and that would be People's Instinctive.
That's crazy.
And he has 2 other 5 mic albums, in my opinion, as a group, which would be the Poetry and Midnight Marauders.
Right.
Now, and quite frankly, he's one of the main contributors to one of the best songs, one of the best hip hop albums ever, which is Illmatic. All right? And
great resume.
And he productionizes the driving force, apparently, behind teaching Havoc how to pattern up drums properly on the Infamous, including doing Give Up the Goods and some of the other seminal stuff on there. How many guys on the East Coast can say that shit?
I think he is the East Coast Dr. Dre, in my opinion.
Special. He is special. And that's not even getting into other stuff that he's done. Like just keeping it at the Tribe stuff and going to Illmatic and going to the Infamous. Like that's not
the work that he did with Bad Boy and stuff.
Right. Right. That's what I'm saying. And he's done so many other things that aren't as notable and hasn't been as quantifiable. But that was one of the
He's very quiet about it. Yeah.
Right. But that was one of the takeaways from the album as well. It's like, you know, and Phife even admitted to the ego breaking up Tribe and why the last 2 albums don't sound good. The last 2 albums don't sound good about ego because guess what? Q-Tip is so great, and all Phife wants to really do is show people, hey, I'm great too. It's not just him that's great. And really, we already knew that you were great after we heard you on the Low End Theory. We just wanted y'all to keep on doing it together. They never even had to do all that. It never even had to come to that. Phife was always great. Somebody should have been giving Phife flowers sooner, or this group would have never fallen apart like that. How about that?
I agree. Ryan Gillum says Push said that he got banned from Canada. We all know who's behind that. Yeah. Well, all right, man. I love that segment, man. I think that Phife album was super dope, and I agree. I think it's going to end up at that point of our top 20 because this year is just so heavy. And Tribe is forever too, man. Wu-Tang is forever. But what I'm learning going back and listening to Tribe over and over, it's not many people whose music has aged better than Tribe and hip-hop, man. And it's a beautiful thing.
I mean, you know, you're from here. I'm from Charlotte, but I'm raised here. I claim Atlanta just as much as I claim Charlotte. I got dual citizenship. I do not love what is happening to Outkast's legacy because here's what's happening. Tribe and Wu-Tang are doing things post their prime to show you how great they were when their prime happened and adding to their legacy. And because Andre doesn't record with Big Boy, we are not afforded that luxury. I want you to understand, even part of why I gave Black Star the 5 was because it's like, y'all haven't done an album together in 24 years and y'all sound like this together? I don't care what that person's saying about the chemistry. They are wrong. They sound
they're wrong. Yeah, and whoever that, I'm going to go through and read that review, and we're probably going to end up talking about it next week sometime, but
There's so much money that Outkast is leaving on the table right now. Look at what Wu-Tang is doing independently and collectively, because here's the thing, Czarface, remember Czarface meets Ghostface. That's still Wu-Tang. There's Wu on this album.
They're giving people music, man.
Purple Tape 2. How does Purple Tape 2 start off? It starts off with a Wu-Tang cut. House of Flying Daggers 2. Inspector Deck, Method Man, Raekwon, and Ghostface. That's how Purple Tape 2 sounds off. It starts off with Meth, Ghost, Ray, and Deck. Like, they have done so many things post their prime legacy to keep it up. And where Outkast really loses steam is that we have just all of that old stuff to hold on to. We don't even have anything new and fresh to make us nostalgic and appreciate the old stuff and compare it to. Because part of what makes Wu-Tang and Tribe stuffs even greater is I can go back to Phife's album today. Phife's album is dope. But it's not the Low End Theory, but you know what it makes me want to do? It makes me listen to the Low End Theory.
Straight up. LP says Q-Tip made old samples sound futuristic. Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yep. All right, well, you know what? Next time we're going to see y'all, man. It sounds like Kendrick's going to have a new album by the next time we have another episode. I'm looking forward to it. We had a lot of people in the room today. I'm sure we're going to have hella people in the room on that episode. Make sure that you subscribe to According to Hip Hop. Hit the bell icon so you know when we're going live. We're definitely going to keep people updated with the album as we're listening to it, I'm sure. But, yeah, that show's going to be lit. Ray Rims on the way out says, check out my last 2 emails. Yeah, we got you.
We got you, Ray.
All right. Signing off. Get the yearbook if you ain't got it. It's in the description. We appreciate your time. Good looking. And get some more people to subscribe because the other conversations are going to be even crazier, I'm sure.
Right.